Today on the Shrewd Dudes podcast, we are going to talk about a few different things. In This Week in Satire, we're going to address oinks. Is that a thing?
Oink oink, Stephen. Oink oink.
Yes. I am not an oink, I am a silk.
Super silky.
Super silky. In the rant of the week, we're going to address... what would I call that? The high alpha level colleges.
The gigantic, massive middle finger to all of America from our superiors and betters.
Yes, well, not just
Mostly
Jews.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So that was inappropriate.
Oh, super.
Yep. And nothing to see here. We're going to talk about Hunter Biden got indicted. So that's interesting. And then finally, in our weekly exposure, we're going to talk about how the education system is pushing children towards LGBTQ chat rooms. Because that's just fantastic.
I mean, they always have to up the ante, Stephen. Always have to up the ante.
Yes.
Push that envelope.
Yes. It's time to stop.
They're never going to stop. Don't you know?
Ugh.
They don't know how to stop. They're like the invasion of the body snatchers.
Yeah.
You ever seen that movie?
I've not actually seen Invasion. It's
you know the concept though?
Oh yes.
Basically, they take over people's bodies, and it's basically a takeover. And it kind of feels like that when you meet somebody and they've been like infected by the mind virus. You're like, oh, they're one of them. You know. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it can be very just like, oh my gosh. You
it's pretty bad,
are
man.
so hopeless.
Yeah. So we got a lot of good stuff going on today. So you want to just get into it because we're already starting a little late.
So
we got some good stuff to cover.
We'll go quickly through the intro, and then I'll remind people to join the chat on Twitch, and then we'll jump into the stories.
I'm thinking what we should do is we should we should almost find a new title for the section, because usually on Thursdays we just find all the funny clips that we can find, combine them with This Week in Satire and all that, and almost I feel like we could almost combine that into one gigantic super satire segment. I don't know. Well, we'll have to think of something, but that because it is fun. It is fun to do humor,
the interesting little quirky clips.
The twits of Twitter or something like that. But some fun. We have to come up with something. But I do enjoy. I look forward to this every week.
All right, let's go do the intro, and then we'll jump right in.
I am very well, Patriot Concierge. Thank you.
Silence.
Oh, I was just responding to the chat.
Okay. So
you gotta warn a guy when you're doing that, Stephen. You can't just launch that on somebody.
Oh, I will do it when I want. I run this
right.
show.
Are you saying you came early? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that I control all. Like this. Bye, Danny. You have no existence. I control when you show up or not.
So mean. You are a terrible god. We need to demote you from the god.
I am a cruel god.
Cruel. You forgot vindictive.
Yes. Well, that actually reminds me. There was an old College Humor video, and it was it was called the Tetris God.
Okay.
And it was this guy playing Tetris, and it's this omnipotent Greek god, and he's just L block, and it's coming down and be my lord, you are truly merciful. Then it's a T block. No, but he can't fit it there. It doesn't work. Then it's continually all these pieces that are wrong. You are a cruel god, evil. And it's line piece.
I took my nieces to Sioux Lights yesterday, and it was kind of funny. We were kind of joking about a lot of the lights on the bridges were just flashing in all sorts of crazy colors, and we were this would be a terrible place for somebody with really terrible epilepsy. I'm yeah, can you imagine? You could almost make a skit. You could almost make a skit on about that, on what do you call it, Studio C, where you basically talk about this is my buddy, Samson. It's we're gonna do the most dangerous thing we've ever done. We're gonna walk down our neighborhood and he's gonna try to survive somehow. He walks down the neighborhood, like lights are flashing on one house, like oh don't look. It's like flashing on the other, like don't do it, and all of a sudden at one point it's like they can't avoid it. It's like lights coming out of the front, and all of a sudden he just collapses on the ground, starts like shaking and all that. I'm like the most dangerous time of year for people with epilepsy, Christmas time, right? Is that not?
It's the most stroke-inducing time of the year.
Yeah. Like you see all these people like sing a choir of people singing, and also the Christmas lights start. They all just collapse on the ground.
We are terrible.
I mean, you have to admit that'd be funny. I'm not saying
it would be funny. It would be funny.
The concept is funny. But okay, so let's talk about somebody who is just as cringing-inducing, Stephen.
Yes,
let's show people
exceptionally cringe-inducing.
Here's the question for you guys: do you think that this is legit, or is this totally fake?
See, I think that they probably did set up this specific video, but
we all believe it.
If you had a fairly well-known streamer or TikToker that was what they call an e-girl, and went up to a guy sort of like this on the street, then it's possible for sure. OnlyFans exists, unfortunately, for a reason.
This is true.
Let's watch this interaction.
Oh, do we have to?
Yes, you sent it to me.
Yeah, sorry.
What's my name?
Scarlett.
Do you love me?
Yes.
Will you do anything I tell you to do?
Yes.
Kiss me on the cheek. Go on the floor and kiss my shoes. Get wet for me.
Yes, master. Do you want me to do anything else for you?
Goodbye! Goodbye! What's my name?
The end of that probably is the part that makes it the best, actually. I'd say so.
This is
it's like, oh. You almost feel that for the guy. You're just like,
you're just the internal voices are like, don't do it. If she told you to kiss on the cheek, you'd be like, okay, whatever. That's not that humiliating. Kiss my feet. No.
It's like much more humiliating.
It's like
get wet for me.
It's like this is you're just trying to humiliate. You're seeing how far you can go because you're an attractive person, and you think that because I'm overweight and seem to be simping pretty hard, that I have no concept of self-worth. And unfortunately, there are people like this guy that do exist. And it's truly unfortunate. And it's because they just have no idea or no concept of how valuable that they truly are. And they're just it's kind of this whole thing in kind of Japanese culture. The whole idea of women like this is the e-girl kind of culture. It's there's a term for it where it's behavior like this is something that's called I think the generic internet colloquialism is notice me senpai.
Oh, he's gonna bring out the Urban Dictionary on this one.
Yeah. Because it's like, oh yes, I'll do anything to gain approval. Yeah.
And it's I can see that in Japan because Japan has a real problem with too many girls, not enough guys.
Yep.
Oh no, sorry. So too many guys, not enough girls, and so there's not a lot of girls going to go around. So yeah, guys will do that there. But this is the worst of society.
Oh yeah.
Let's look at some of the actual positive parts of society, which I actually like this video. I was like,
this is great.
You know what? Yeah.
Climate activists I can get behind. We actually oh, sorry, go for it.
If I saw climate activists actually doing this, I'm like, I could find that.
Oh yeah, I'd be so much more inclined to listen to what they had to say if they were actually putting in a significant amount of effort. Be like, hey,
doing a public service.
We're not only talking about doing stuff to save the planet. We're actually doing stuff to save the planet, and we're not telling you to do all the work for us.
Oh, if they weren't like the most horrible raging like hypocrites on
elitists.
planet Earth, like the climate activists are incredibly like incredibly hypocritical. It's like it's impossible to take them seriously because they wear the very same things that they protest. They wear shoes made of oil. They wear everything made of oil. They get to their places of oil. The animal activists are the most incredibly hypocritical people. They find animals, and then once they rescue them, they go and kill them. I'm like, congratulations, you're a raging hypocrite. Well done. But I've actually seen so many like incredible examples of people that actually find creative ways of cleaning the oceans. Like they're coming up with new technologies that like sweep the oceans and find ways to remove like the plastics and things in them. And I'm like, wow, you're actually solving the problems. Good job. You've already done more in like than Justin Trudeau's like carbon tax has accomplished ever. Well done. By the way, your screen is your camera's really like blurry. I'm not sure why.
Yeah,
Might need to focus.
you can just refresh the page. It's fine.
Gotta focus. All right.
Doesn't take that long. I'm all good.
Oh, you good, man? You good?
All right, let's watch this final little clip, which is also kind of in the vein of the first one.
Steven, I'm glad you're finally focused. Took him a second. Take him a second. Go for it. Go for it. Come on. This is the lighthearted part. Come
Smack and
on.
break your kneecaps.
Just go with. Well, good thing you're way over there and I'm way over here. So I'm like,
could be some
You know
serious
what?
harm.
I don't want another motherfucker to offer to take me out to eat, to take me to the movies, to take me nowhere. Unless y'all asking me, can y'all pay my motherfucking bills? Straight up. You want me to give you my time? You want me to come through kill? You want me to get my motherfucking hair done, my makeup done and everything else, just to come out and go on a motherfucking date, and we ain't talking about no bills. Real men get time from me. Real men get the with me, because real men pay bills. You little motherfucking boys want to take a bitch out to eat, take a bitch to the movies. I don't want to do that. The only thing I want from a is my bills paid. Straight up. We can't do nothing else but that. I'm trying to secure the bag. And the motherfucking bag can be secured if we're sitting at a... You know what?
well, she makes such a compelling argument, Steven.
Yeah,
I mean, how
super
can you argue
compelling.
against
Like,
super compelling?
like it's interesting because, of course, what she's advocating for
Is marriage?
is marriage. Except she's saying it's like,
That's what
oh
I'm
no,
thinking.
I ain't getting nothing. That I ain't doing nothing. I'm not going out with you. I'm going
Not
on
till he pays
maybe
my bills.
one day if you pay my bills. And it's like,
Yeah, that's right. Like a husband.
you're going like 5 steps too far in advance. So if you like have me in a committed relationship and you got a ring on that finger, then yeah, sure. Like, my wife doesn't work. I pay her bills because she cares for my children.
Like the entitlement in this woman. Like I think
it's huge.
Patriot Concierge totally nailed it. It's like not just basically prostitution.
It
I'm like,
is.
yeah, pretty much actually. She's like, you think I like standing on this corner? I got bills to pay. It's like, oh, I got you covered, babe. I got you covered. It's like,
You think my pimp beats me for no reason?
it's like, I gotta pay my bills. My bills include my pimp. Gotta take care of that boy.
He takes a cut.
He takes a big cut. If you don't get no cut, I get cut. So you better pay up. You better pay up, boy.
Those type of relationships are equally as toxic.
All right. So Steven, in like speaking of like an epic, like the most blowhearted pimp, let's talk about Gavin Newsom.
Oh my gosh. This is one of my favorite Freedom Tunes videos
Speaking of
in
pimps,
a long time. This was so
this
good.
is really good. This is really funny. I like this one.
So, California's going out of business sale. Here we go.
So good.
I'm grabbing Gavin Newsom here to announce California is running our going out of business sale. That's right. After 173 years, California is closing our doors. But don't fret.
Oh, yeah.
We're
outta
passing
here.
the savings on to you. That flat screen that used to cost $700, now free. This laptop with a 2 terabyte hard
Swag.
drive and 32 gigs of RAM, an $800 value, now yours free. This $900 13
Five-finger discount.
free. In fact, fact, everything in every store that costs less than $950 is completely, entirely, 100% free. Androids,
Got it.
iPhones, vacuum cleaners, blenders. Can you fit it in your arms? You can carry it out. Our prices are so insane, he's gonna go out of business. Why are you doing this to me? This is my life. Don't you understand that this store is my
Poor
life?
guy.
I have nothing else. I have nothing else.
As they're
My wife
running
is
out of
gonna
the
leave
store with the
me.
stuff.
How am I gonna feed my children? With prices like these, it's no wonder our state is going out of business. But it doesn't end there. This billion-dollar Hilton Hotel, free to anyone who wants to move in. This abandoned storefront at the mall, $0 and it's yours. This studio apartment in the ghetto that has a homeless guy shitting outside of it, $12,000 a month. That's gonna be $12,000 a month. We can't budget. That's the best I can do for you. I'm sorry.
That's all we
Your
got.
car
all we
parked
got, all we
outside
got.
of the apartment, free to anyone who can break in. So come on down to Grab and Gavin's crazy California fire sale. Hurry on over. With prices like this, we're not gonna last for long.
Kind of nailed it.
it's so
Kind of
good.
nailed it, eh?
Oh
And
my
it's-
goodness.
It's so funny too because I'm listening right now. Like I'm this week I've been listening to the clown show that is like Parliament here in Canada, and like every time the Conservative Party asks like Justin Trudeau, like our glorious leader, about like housing and like hey, can you cut down costs? Like housing is insane right now. People can't afford to live. Can you like maybe cancel the tax hikes? It's like, well, while the Conservatives are all about like cut, we're gonna continue to like give you free handouts like free childcare and free this and free that. And we're gonna give you lots of handouts because we care about Canadians. And I'm just like, you're basically Gavin Newsoming our country. Because like that's their solution to everything. It's like, no. We don't cut. We don't stop taking your money. We just find creative ways to bribe you with it. That's how we work, It's like that's exactly what it looks like. So I'm very familiar with this kind of like tactic. It's like, no, we can't cut costs. We have to keep charging you money because we created the problem. Only we can fix it.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, just ridiculous. Gavin,
Like
Newsom.
arsonist and firefighter all in the same boat.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But
What else you got, Steve?
that's not the end of the funny business today. So
Oh,
we're
the
going
funny
on
business.
to the Babylon Bee.
Babylon.
So, oh no, Joel Osteen stumped after someone asked him to name 3 books in the Bible.
Yeah, I didn't get this at first, but Steven will explain.
I did explain.
You
So
did.
what began as a pleasant seminar at Lakewood Church devolved into an awkward situation today, as Senior Pastor Joel Osteen was stumped by one attendee who asked him to name 3 books from the Bible. Oh boy. Oh gosh. Osteen said nervously in response to the question. Well, there's so many great books to choose from. You've got your early books, the ones at the beginning. Those are good. And ones towards the back of the Bible, those are great too. And let's not forget the ones that are, in the middle there somewhere. So good.
It's so good.
The room grew quiet as onlookers waited for Osteen to provide a clear answer. Yeah, they're all good, said one seminar attendee, Greg Barnes, who asked the original question, can you be more specific? Which 3 books of the Bible are your favorites? My favorites? Osteen said, smiling. Well, that's a tough question. I'm a pastor,
That's a tough question.
and that's like asking a parent to name their favorite child, isn't it? Just name 3 books.
Classic Dodge.
All right. How about maybe First Moses? I'll do it in the the comb over. 1 Moses.
Gotta
That's
have a
one.
southern drawl.
Wait. Who was one of those other guys? Like maybe the Gospel of what was one of their names? Bartholomew or whatever. Or hey, the
Gospel
Book
of
of
Peter.
Elijah. He has
Yeah,
one
that's a
named
good book.
after him, doesn't he? Oh gosh, but my
Oh, yeah.
favorite, that's got to be the Book of Financial Blessing. Say, what's that over there?
Is that a recent leaf?
Publishing time witnesses reported they seeing a blur before they believed to be Osteen as he sprinted full speed out of the building through the emergency exit.
Actually, what they saw was like all of a sudden Joel Osteen like bolted out of there, and you saw like a cloud that like in the shape of Joel Osteen that
Mhm.
slowly faded away. And you're like, wait, what happened? What did I just see? That's crazy.
Yeah.
By the way, Stephen, can you name your 3 favorite books in the Bible?
3 favorite books.
I'm gonna put you on the spot. Put you on the
Probably
spot.
be First Corinthians,
Mhm.
First Thessalonians,
Oh, just Googled it.
and
He
just
literally
Googled it.
He's just Googled it. That's what
Third
he
one,
did.
I'd probably have to say old classic. Go to Proverbs.
Proverbs, like such a Sunday school answer.
I know.
I'm gonna go with my brother Isaiah. He was pretty awesome. And then I'm gonna go to Ecclesiastes, and then of course going old school, crazy Romans. Those Romans know
crazy
what they're doing.
Romans.
Crazy Romans. They know
Romans
what
is
they're
up
doing.
there. I do like reading
a
from
good book.
Acts and Romans. They're good.
They are good books, man. It's like
Alrighty.
notice I needed one of us named like Jesus in the Gospels.
Yeah,
We're
we
like,
didn't name a single gospel.
that's entry level stuff.
We just want to
wanna
be
show
extrapolations.
we want to show off our props, like naming like obscure books, like
Book
what's
of
in
Enoch.
Ecclesiastes? Yeah, the Book of Enoch.
The Book of
Actually,
Barabbas.
Chadwick actually loves that one. He actually loves it so much he actually thinks he should be part of Scripture. I'm like, well, thank goodness you're not picking these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. But apparently it's a really good read. Apparently, the other one that I want to read sometime because it's not in the Bible, but I've heard like very interesting things about it is The Shepherd of Hermas. You ever heard of that one?
Nope.
Yep, it's a book that not almost, but it was being considered early on to be in the Bible, but never made it, and for a
Very
lot of good
interesting.
reasons. Actually,
Very
very
interesting.
interesting.
All right.
All right,
Well, now we
speaking
have
of
the second
other like religious
satirical
kooks.
article. So yeah, different types of religious kooks. So now we have the other satirical article. Mormon family proud oinks. 1 income, 9 kids. So on the
Oink,
other
oink,
end of the
Steven.
spectrum from Dink, which is dual income, no kids, families, local Mormon parents, Logan and Stacey Jensen have proudly claimed the rare title of oinks, meaning a family with
Oinks.
1 income and 9 kids. Our former pastor is also an oink. Because I think he has 9.
Oh, he has 8, but I would not be surprised if they're working on the 9th.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
because they were expecting the 9th, but then she miscarried.
That's right.
Okay, so 8 kids.
I mean, with that much traction, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
that poor husband's wife.
We're just living the oink.
No wonder she always seemed cranky.
It
Carry
would
that
be a
many
very
kids.
hectic life.
It would be very hectic.
Especially because they homeschool all of them.
They do. That is like they have their own baseball team. They're
They
pretty
do.
close. They're pretty close.
We're just living the oink dream. Only in America. Well, no, 'cause it happens in Canada here. See, like, this was a very common thing. Like, 1 income, 9 kids. That would be, like, my grandparents' generation. Like, my grandmother had 8 brothers and sisters.
Yep.
And so did my grandfather on my dad's side. So both of them.
Yep.
Like, my dad has 75 first cousins because each of them had 7 or 8 brothers and sisters. And then each of those had 4 or 5 kids. Then it's like, oh, look, you have, Irish. Well, we're Scottish, so, we're coming for you.
Well, one of my favorite jokes was, where was it? I think it was in Avengers Age of Ultron. And like, what was it? Like, Fury made the joke. It's like, man, they're reproducing like Celtic rabbits.
Yeah.
And I was actually cracking up in the theater. I was like,
good line.
Okay, that was pretty good.
Good
Was
line.
pretty good. Catholic rabbits just combine the 2 most fertile and like fertile things on Earth, and you've basically created a super race.
Yep.
Yes.
But according to sources, the couple had considered stopping at 8, but the term oik did not make any sense. It didn't roll off the tongue at all. We're so glad
oik,
we had what's her face and made it to oink.
At that point, you just gave up. You're like, I'm not going to remember.
You
Sorry.
have brown hair
have
and
no
green
name.
eyes. Okay.
You better stay. Your hair better stay brown, otherwise you're not going to be like recognizable.
Yeah, you now have a number.
That's right. We've started to number you now.
Number 8. And especially with Mormons, you have to have it's kind of rare that you have the one wife.
That's
so
right.
you got to start naming them. That'll be like A1, A2.
Mhm.
For
You have to
wife
have the
number one,
multiple
kid
wives.
number two.
That's right. Yeah, the funny thing is, like this, I was reading testimonies from people in the 1800s, 1700s. Like having like big families was so not odd back
Yeah.
then.
Well,
It was
because it
like
was free labor.
oh, well, and not only was free labor, but it was like an era before like child like before birth control, and an era before like where children were actually like somewhat like like good to have around, right? But nowadays, like we have the completely opposite problem. We're like overcompensating, and now we're having way less children than we should. So, well, say goodbye to Canada because we ain't gonna last long.
Yeah.
In about, I'd say about what 15, 20 years, we're gonna be a majority. We're gonna be the caliphate of Canada
We will.
because
So,
those Muslims they reproduce like Muslim
Mhm.
like Muslim rabbits.
yeah.
I'd say.
So, Christian parents have more kids.
Yeah, you got to get busy.
Exactly. Like,
That's right.
why are you complaining?
That's right. It's like, honey, you're looking good tonight. Stop breathing on me. It's like, oh, you're pregnant.
I just wanted a back rub. Oh, okay.
Oh, that
happened.
back rub got real tender.
Yep, it happens.
Can we move on, or are we going to finish this one?
Yeah. So I'm just going to reference
Go on.
this. So this is, of course, in reference to the thousands of dink couples have become spending their days posting videos online and showing everyone how happy they are.
See, the funny thing is, like, you normally name yourself after something that's like that makes you look good, not something that makes you look like an idiot.
Yep.
It's like, hey, we're jerks and we love it. It's like,
Mhm.
well, good name choice, people. Well,
Yeah.
well
Well,
done.
it's just like, I am not going to accomplish anything significant in my life.
Mm-hmm. And they're proud of it too. That's the
Oh,
other
yeah.
part.
Well,
Yeah, they're
because
super
it's
proud of
like, and I blame them, but I only blame them partially just because our culture has made the idea of children into not a blessing, but it's become a
But
detriment.
curse.
It is now considered in modern culture as a detriment or a curse.
You know,
yeah.
okay, you know the one thing I found really crazy? I remember like working back in the day, I was working in a landscaping company. And I remember going to this person's house. And like it's like a very very, very well off married couple. And they had like this giant house, like a ton of cars, a ton of like dogs and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, man, like this is a really nice house, and I was talking to them, and at one point they kind of mentioned like, yeah, we're hoping to have a family at some point someday. I'm like, oh, okay, what's stopping you? It's like, well, we're not quite there financially. We really want to get our finances like in order,
Mhm.
and then we'll think about having kids. I'm like looking at my coworker. Are you
That's
freaking kidding
yeah.
me
No.
right now? Like in my head, I'm like, what? Like they literally have like a full mansion of a house, like tons of cars, but they still don't have enough money to have a kid. Oh, and even then, they might have one. I'm just like,
Mhm.
oh, do you know what people
Yeah.
have lived in like for
Oh no,
years?
Patriot Concierge, like you're totally right with that one. People fear raising kids in today's chaos, and
Oh,
like I understand the fear and trepidation because
mhm.
like it's much harder to afford to raise a family. There's a lot more chaos. There's a lot more instability.
Yep.
But people seem to forget that the way in which you change society, fundamentally, the way in which you change society is by
Right.
raising up your children and raising up the next generation to be good, upstanding, moral, and righteous individuals. And that is how you change your society.
Well,
If you choose not to have children and you're just like, okay, I'm going to change the way I live, it's like, great, you'll change your life a little bit, but you're not going to have lasting change on the way that the world works.
Well, and the one of the best things I remember hearing somebody say, I think it was like Dennis Prager, he's like, most people like think that not having kids is going to bless their whole life. It may only really have a major impact on the first part of your life, but then your sacrifices the second half of your life entirely, because like having children gives you a sense of like longevity, a next generation, something to look forward to, something to invest in, and it actually gives you a bigger perspective than just you, because you'll only be able to enjoy your life until your 40s, and then it basically all like falls apart because you start getting sick and you don't have any like long lasting legacy of any kind. It's just it's your people are just sacrificing the second half of their life for their first. But don't worry, here in Canada, You can get made.
Yeah.
That's the solution to everything nowadays. I got a stuffed toe. Like, oh, don't worry, we got made for you. Like, get away from me, you freak. Canadians, I tell you. You know, like Canada's maid system reminds me of that. You ever seen the Far Side, Stephen? The Far Side comics.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they had this one. It was like a horse hospital, and like the doctors going around from like little thing for, like, you know, like where they have the curtains,
Yep.
one to another. He was like checks the chart, like, you know, like solution, like, you know, shoot. And so you see like doctors going behind the curtains, and like you see a blam from a shotgun as they kill the horses. I'm like, that's basically Canada's healthcare system right now. It's like, well, if it's too expensive to fix, we'll just shoot you.
Okay, so I'm just responding to Bulletproof Baldy. So much of, like, if your wife or if your spouse is a poor person, like not poor as in economically, just like poor, like ethically, morally, and emotionally.
That poor thing.
Yeah, like there's so much involved with that we should not be rushing in to, like, a lot of Christians are like, well, I'm going to rush into marriage because I don't have, like, I want to get involved. And that, of course, is to their own detriment. 1 second. What is it, Rebecca? Come here, Rebecca.
Getting called out.
She's sleeping in your room? Okay,
Yeah.
you're going to say hi? Little Miss Pikachu?
Yeah, by the way, Bulletproof, yeah, marriage is, hi, Becca. Hi, Becky. She's got Pokemon on. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, I know. You should not have put that on. Well, you put it on because you're misbehaving.
Hello.
Okay.
Hi. Hello, Becky.
Yeah, like young dumb mistakes. Like when I first started dating my wife,
Mhm.
like we jumped into stuff, and I had to, like, I've had to engage because a lot of how my wife was raised was that she didn't know how to properly engage with people.
Mhm.
And so she'll avoid having any sort of like she'll engage sometimes very similarly to her mom. And I love my wife very much, and I try as much as possible not to critique her in public.
Mhm.
Like when people are over, or if we're over at someone's house, I will try as much as possible. I'm like, nope, I'm gonna wait, and then we're gonna address this. And
Good boy.
I have to like when I critique other people and when I critique my wife, I have to address that in a very different way, because my wife, when she critiques me, and Danny knows this, that often when people are over, like she has no filter and she'll just like say what's on her mind, and I'm like, okay,
Steven, I need you to do this right now because you're a lazy oaf. It's like,
yeah,
oh,
but I'm like, okay,
that was rough.
I'm like, that was really rough. And then I'll come to her later and I'm like, honey, I love you very much,
But I need you to stop doing that.
There is a back and forth here, and I am not going to critique you in front of other people because I know that you'll get embarrassed and it'll just make you feel bad.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, I need you to do the same for me.
In the iconic words of Jim Carrey, "Stop breaking my heart, a-hole."
Yes. So, like, even if we choose to marry someone when we're young and dumb, like, marriage is a serious commitment. It's a covenant before God, and we have to respect that. And we have to put in the time and effort and say, this is what God bound together, and I'm going to respect that, and I'm going to put in the time and effort and say, I made the covenant, I made the commitment, and I'm going to strive and I'm going to work for it.
Yeah, preach,
and
brother.
That's what we got to do. We have to stay committed, and that will, like, sometimes, yeah, it's very hard. It's so hard to predict the future, Like, I had a buddy, and he was engaged, and this girl was really fantastic.
Yeah.
And then it was like 2 weeks before their wedding. And then she moved to another province and started living with this other guy. And I was
That's
like, what?
That's probably going to ruin our relationship somehow.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little bit.
By the way, okay.
So
I was going to say,
we keep trying to do that. Go for it.
it's because there's a tiny bit of a delay in
there is.
voice. So, by the way, Bulletproof Baldy, I want to give you kudos because you got him monologuing, bro. You got him monologuing. Well done. You pulled a Mr. Incredible on him. And by the way, it's not difficult to get Stephen going. You will get him on the monologue, and he will just he'll go in a full sermon. He'll get on the soapbox, and he'll just start preaching.
Well, and marriage is one of those things that I will get on a soapbox just because I interact with so many people that they're just like, oh yeah, like I remember I went on this tirade against this woman who made a TikTok about how she was going out and having a massive party to celebrate her divorce. And I was like, nope. I'm like, this is horrible behavior. And I was like, unless he was abusing you or cheating on you, then this is you're not escaping from something. You're just choosing to leave your commitments and to negate on your word. And she's like, well, this is so much better for me and my family. And it's like, no, it's not. This is truly horrid. And you are hurting your children because of it, because of your own selfish, taking candy from a baby. Oh no. Okay. Danny, it's a timeout.
He doesn't even realize he doesn't.
Timeout for a minute. All right. We're going to move on. Daddy, you jerk. All right, let's go to the rants of the week before I get monologuing again.
So good.
All right, let's go.
Red alert.
Okay, so from the New York Post.
My favorite part, by the way, is that he doesn't even realize he does it.
Oh, no, I realize that I'm monologuing. I just don't care because...
He fades out. He just completely goes into auto mode. It's great.
Yeah. Also, when I monologue, that's typically when we have a spike in Twitch viewers.
I also wonder, I'm like, if he the question is, would he be a great supervillain or would he be a terrible supervillain? Great because he does a great monologue, but terrible in the fact that he's so easy to make monologue. I'm like,
I get distracted pretty frequently.
Yeah, it'd be like,
oh,
1 second away from the death laser.
Okay.
It's like, but let me tell you the real reason why I'm doing this.
Let me tell you the background information for all of this.
Meanwhile, the Temple of Doom.
Okay.
All right, go for it. So, what are we writing about today?
This is Meanwhile in the Legion of Doom.
Yeah.
So, college presidents double standard and institutionalized campus anti-Semitism. If they made nothing else clear, elite university presidents testifying Tuesday certainly showed they're not serious about dealing with anti-Semitism. Harvard, MIT, and University of Pennsylvania chiefs all admitted that anti-Semitism is a problem, but dodged and weaved about confronting the hate. All quickly retreated to a free speech defense, claiming their hands are tied by their duty to allow unfettered dialogue. Funny. The Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression ranked Harvard the worst school for free speech in 2023, with an abysmal record, and Penn is the second worst. MIT is just middle. In other words, these universities have been letting the left shut down unwelcome ideas. They're discovering the dire need to protect dissent. Now that Jewish students are being assaulted, intimidated, and forced to hide their identities as crazed peers and professors to defend Hamas's slaughter of innocent Israelis. They also dodged rather than discuss what, if any, discipline is underway against students who've engaged in outright violence. It was all fuzz. So let's watch some of those engagements.
Let's watch some of those crazy, yeah.
So this is a segment from Elon Musk. All hail Elon.
Or he just retweeted it, yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So let's watch all this encounters because it's very entertaining.
Not making. At MIT, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate MIT's code of conduct or rules regarding bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
If targeted at individuals, not making public statements.
Yes or no? Calling for the genocide of Jews does not constitute bullying and harassment?
I have not heard calling for the genocide for Jews on our campus.
But you've heard chants for intifada.
I've heard chants, which can be anti-Semitic depending on the context, when calling for the elimination of the Jewish people.
Called
So those would not
intifadas.
be according to the MIT's code of conduct or rules.
That would be investigated as harassment if pervasive and severe.
Ms. McGill, at Penn, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Penn's rules or code of conduct? Yes or no?
If the speech turns into conduct, it can be harassment, yes.
I am asking specifically calling for the genocide of Jews. Does that constitute bullying or harassment?
If it is directed and severe or pervasive, it is harassment.
So the answer is yes.
It is a context-dependent decision.
No, it's not.
It's a context decision. That's your testimony today. Calling for the genocide of Jews is depending upon the context. That is not bullying or harassment. This is the easiest question to
in the
answer
world.
yes, Ms. McGill.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
So is your
If it-
testimony
if
that
it-
you will not answer yes?
If it
Her answer is
if the
Yes
speech
or no?
becomes, if the speech becomes conduct, it can be
The-
harassment.
No.
Conduct meaning committing the act of genocide? The speech is not harassment? This is unacceptable, Ms. McGill. I'm going to give you one more opportunity for the world to see your answer. Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Penn's code of conduct when it comes to bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
Take
It
my
can
50
be
minutes.
harassment.
The answer is yes. And Dr. Gay, at Harvard, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
It can be, depending on the context.
Oh,
What's
that
the
is so gay.
context?
Targeted as an individual, at an individual.
It's
severe,
targeted at
pervasive.
Jewish students,
Jewish people.
Jewish individuals. Do you understand your testimony is dehumanizing them? Do you understand that dehumanization is part of anti-Semitism? I will ask you one more time. Does
I'm
calling
too
for the
stupid to
genocide
answer your
of
question.
Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
Anti-Semitic rhetoric. When
And is it
crosses into
anti-Semitic rhetoric?
Anti-Semitic rhetoric, when it crosses into conduct that amounts to bullying, harassment, intimidation, that is actionable conduct, and we do take action.
So the answer is yes, that calling for the genocide of Jews violates Harvard Code of Conduct, correct?
Oh my gosh.
Again, it depends on the context.
It does not depend on-
It's
No.
so angering.
Okay, so this is like
It's
okay,
so
this is
simple of an answer.
I know it's what pisses me off. I see this all the time. Okay, so this is what pisses me off about this. It is so obvious to any regular observer that you are intentionally obfuscating because you refuse to answer the question. Anybody who sees this, they know you're a lying piece of crap, which is why you're using lawyer answers. These are like some lawyers like sat down with you and basically told you, okay, you cannot answer the question correctly. You cannot answer the question honestly. So we're going to give you like lawyer speak gobbledygook to try to avoid answering the question. They do this everywhere. They do this like in these kind of like these kind of hearings because they're under oath. They have to answer, and they're going to be like they could commit perjury if they answer like dishonestly. So they give you like BS like answers like this, and it's obvious the reason why they're not answering honestly and they're using these like coded like answers is because they're full of crap, because they clearly support the pro-Palestinian genocide talks, but they can't say that out loud, which is why they refuse to give a straight answer. Like I cannot stand people like anybody who answers like this in any like official setting. I'm like, you are a completely untrustworthy person, and I can't believe a thing you say. This is like people ask me like, why don't you trust Justin Trudeau? And I'm like, have you heard the way he talks in Parliament? The guy is a gigantic con artist. He refuses to answer questions properly. This guy is a dishonest piece of crap. Like, he can't trust the thing that he says. These women are literally like simping. They're terror simps. This is what they are.
Well, and like, and I'm looking at the chat right now. Stop animal modern torture. You are a terror simp. I'll ask a simple. I'll ask a simple question.
Okay,
is Hamas a terror?
Can I ask? Okay, before you ask that, can I answer one thing?
Yes.
So
go for it.
this is from. Okay, so where was it? Because there was quite a few things.
Yep.
Okay, this is from a little far up in the chat, but stop at animal modern torture. He said, okay, so this is his comment. I quote: "I just want to say the obvious that anti-Semitism is a term that refers to language and not ethnicity." Now, the problem with anti-Semitism is that a Semite is basically reference to a people group, which is what Jews are. Like, and by the way, if you study Judaism, like history of Judaism and Jews are a notoriously difficult thing to like pin down. Like, what is a Jew? Like, it's like there's like
there's
the answer
cultural
of
Jews, there's religious
there's
Jews,
cultural Jews, there's
native
genealogical Jews, like that are actually like descendants of like Jewish people as well. There's the religious Jews, which you could be a religious Jew and not have a single descendant, like, not a single genealogical contact to it. So it's it's you're like, what you're doing there is like it's a clever semantic trick. Like, you're talking about semantics, language, right? But really, like, the understanding of anti-Semitism, as I know now, that is the word that we use to describe the intentional hatred or what is it, like hatred, or basically like the attempt to destroy or to attack a specific people group. It always refers to the Jews. I'm not sure what like the semantic origins, the etymological origins of the word are, but I have not heard anybody say specifically that anti-Semitism does not actually apply to Jews. I think that just applies to them directly. But I mean, I'd be curious to hear what you say. Semite equals language, not okay. Can you give me a source for that? Because I'm like, I haven't studied like the word Semite, but I know that Semitic, like one of my favorite biblical scholars, he studied like Semitical cultures, and Semitic is reference to people groups that are like descendant from way back in the day, which would be interesting. So, but what are your thoughts, Stephen, on the on these like crazy ladies from these crazy institutions?
Well, of course, like the fact that they're unwilling to even say that it's harassment. Like, she's not even asking if it's incitement. She's not asking if it is having sympathy for terrorism. She is asking if it is harassment to openly call for the genocide of the Jews. She is asking if it is bullying to do things like forcing Jewish students and locking them in a classroom, like beating them up, like following them home and harassing their family and trying to destroy their businesses. Like, the violence and incitement and actions against the Jewish community in North America, it's not just in the United States, it's also here in Canada, has been horrific. And anybody who is unwilling to say that asking or demanding that the Jewish population be wiped out should not be condemned, like, they've proven that they are morally vacuous. Because if they're unwilling to condemn the calls to kill an entire people group, which the Jews are not commanding, the Jews aren't saying that they should wipe out all the Palestinians. The Jews are not saying that they should kill all Palestinian civilians. No. The Jews are saying, we want to target one specific thing and one specific thing only, and that's Hamas. It's as simple as that. The goals of these two, of the IDF and the Israeli militia and the Israeli government, and Hamas and the Palestinian authorities, those two objectives are very different. And the Palestinian Authority and Hamas have explicitly stated over and over again that their goal is to kill as many Jews as possible and wipe them off the face of the earth.
Yeah, and you know what, Stephen? That's bad. That's really bad. We should not support that. I'm just saying. Okay, so this is like from a quick search on the etymology of the word anti-Semitism, really quick. So the word was actually coined by German academic called Wilhelm Marm in 1819. So it's an old word, like a Germanic word, and it always, if not mostly, refers to people from a Semitic language group. By the way, so this is so a Semite is from 1847 a Jew, Arab, Assyrian, or Aramean. So basically anybody from that language group. By the way, there are people groups today called Assyrians. One of them you actually might have heard of, Stephen. His name is Patrick Bet David.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's an Assyrian. So these are
people group.
He had an episode recently.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah, so Assyrians are a people group that right now they don't have a country, but they're a people group that originated from the Semitic, from the Semitic, region. So these are Semitic speaking people, and those people include Assyrians, they include Arabs, they include Arameans, and they also include Jews, who are also Semites, because remember, they all emerged from the same language group. Guess what? Assyrians today speak the same language that Jews spoke way back in the time of Jesus. So, the idea that anti-Semitism doesn't refer to Jews, that's I don't think that's accurate. I think that's a dodge rather than an actual claim. Also, the other thing that who was it? And I'll just kind of finish on this because I don't want to devolve too much. Okay, people use the word genocide a lot. So stop animal modern torture. You're saying that we got to stop ignoring the genocide of Palestinians. Okay, Stephen, can you give me a off the cuff? What is a genocide, Stephen?
Well, a genocide is a deliberate killing of at least an attempt to kill an entire people group based on ethnicity, religion, race, a whole bunch of different factors.
Okay, so
it's deliberately attempting to kill an entire people group,
to wipe out an entire people. So was the Holocaust an attempted genocide?
Yes.
Okay, was the Rwandan the Rwandan
killing the
tragedy?
Tutsis? The Tutsis?
Yeah, was that an attempted genocide?
Yes.
What about the Armenian genocide that happened after World War I?
Yep.
Okay, you know what all those had in common? They made a concerted effort to completely wipe out an entire people group. You know what Israel has the power to do, Stephen? What do they have the power to do? If they really wanted to, they could completely wipe Gaza off the face of the earth if they wanted to. You know why?
Okay, well, here. Okay.
Yep.
So
okay,
if this person wanted to stop animal modern torture, murder and torture, wanted to be honest, if Israel is promoting the genocide of anything, it is promoting the genocide of Hamas.
Yeah.
And I can get behind that genocide because Hamas has the explicit goal of killing them first. And so if we want to say that Israel is committing a genocide, then they have the explicit purpose of genociding Hamas. So go Israel.
Right. Let me give you a little example. Imagine if somebody was trying to and was constantly threatening to kill your entire family. Would you feel really bad if the police found this person and got them in the midst of trying to kill your family? I wouldn't feel bad about that. I'd be like, good. I'm glad that they stopped that person from killing your entire family.
Yeah.
Funny how they do that. See, this is the problem: is that the people use words like open air prison. They use the words like genocide. They use words like all these crazy the apartheid in ways that are so dishonest, intellectually dishonest. So calling it a genocide is a dishonest term because they try to frame it in a way that makes Israel look bad. If Israel wanted to genocide the entire population of Gaza, they could do it in a heartbeat. They have enough firepower. They would just bomb the entire area down to a crisp in no time. That is not difficult to do. They have the power to do it, and yet they don't do it. So, give me a break. The idea of genocide. The second thing I always like to say, and I always like to say this to people who bring up this it's just a dishonest talking point, is that name me a single urban war that did not include some kind of like collateral damage of civilians. Name me a single one urban war, a war that took place in an urban environment in the last 100 years that did not include any bystanders dying. A single war. That includes the Iraq War. That includes the war in Bosnia and Serbia. That includes the World War One and World War II. A lot of those took place in urban environments. That includes like the Korean War. That includes the Vietnam War. Like any war that took place in urban environments, you tell me one war where there was no death of civilians. The problem with the people who are trying to defend Gaza and like the whole war there is that they forget that they're at war, and that in war, especially in urban environments, especially with a local militia or like an army like the Hamas that is intentionally putting people in harm's way, which is a war crime. Hamas is committing war crimes, people.
Yep.
That means that people are going to die. I'm not saying I'm happy. I'm saying I'm not surprised by it. Like, do you think I'm shocked that there are civilians dying in the Ukraine-Russia war? No. It's a war, and a lot of times this takes place in urban environments. I'm like, yes, it's a war. That's what happens in war. It sucks. It's not great, but I'm not accusing Russia of committing genocide because there are civilians dying in urban environments. But people just suddenly have like this like amnesia, like, you know, we're like Gaza is like this magical exception to the urban war principle. Like that's the problem with too many people are just not being intellectually honest. They just want to use inflammatory language. That's what it did. Yeah, I'm sure they did, but that again, that's inflammatory language. We're just demonizing entire, but you're not answering the question. The question is, can you name me a single urban war? And you know what? I'll give you the entire show. The entire show. I challenge you to name me a single modern urban war where there was no civilian casualties, just one. And then then we can talk about like the morality of civilians dying in urban warfare. Yeah,
well, and the reality is that anybody who actually knows anything about this war knows that if Israel was truly intent on committing genocide, they could wipe out all of Gaza in a day, flat, like glass the whole thing.
It would not be hard.
They don't.
No, they're not the Empire.
They're not the Empire. They don't use the Death Star or
There's
Jewish
no
space
operation.
lasers and
There's
blow
no
up the region.
Operation Cinder. There's no Operation Cinder. They're not doing any crap.
Yeah. Well, you know who does send bombs and tries to bomb hospitals, schools, and houses of innocent civilians?
Who's that, Stephen?
Hamas.
Funny how that works. They don't care.
And then, of
if they
course,
kill civilians.
like Hamas sets up. Like we covered this on a story. What was it? 2 weeks ago now.
Yeah, probably.
That what was it? The Al Shifa hospital. Like hundreds of Hamas terrorists that were disguising themselves as hospital staff. Now, this was from Hamas that they set this up to find carpet bombing. Yeah, true enough. But we could go on and on about this, and we'd be happy to.
These are dishonest arguments.
Yeah,
there's not. They're called like the thing that always Israel is it actually goes out of his way to give away what they're up to. It's like they call the building, be like, by the way, we're going to like bomb your building because there's like military people in there. Like, just give me a little heads up. Calling back a little later. By the way, we're about 10 minutes away from bombing. You might want to get out of there. Like 5 minutes before, like, you should probably leave now before we bomb. It was like they bombed the building. They're like, oh my God, civilians are killed. What the heck's wrong with this? Israel is committing genocide. It's like, yeah. See, that's the kind of thing that there's this idea of like the moral equivalency. I don't see it. Like Hamas is nowhere near like the same moral level and moral warfare as Israel. Is Israel perfect? Do they make mistakes? And do they do everything perfectly? No, and I wouldn't say that. But I will honestly engage with people, and if people give me a legitimate like criticism of Israel, I'm like, sure, I'll absolutely consider it. But these all like wide, like almost like all encompassing, like, accusations, like, oh, it's all genocide. I'm like, well, that's not intellectually honest. You're just making you're just throwing accusations and hoping that they stick. I'm like, no, I refuse to play that game. It's not a legitimate accusation. All right.
So we talked about this a lot. Generic anomaly.
Yeah.
Pass it on to you.
Yeah. Go nuts, people.
I believe you are a Jewish friend in the United States, and we appreciate you very much.
My favorite
what was the
is
most recent comment now? Oh, nothing.
Oh, look at that! It's like the news source that they put, the real news.
I know.
I'm like, that's awesome.
It's okay. Just post Al Jazeera. We know.
That's right. There was a guy like I think maybe a week ago or something like that.
I think it was
he posted
2 to 3
a
weeks
documentary.
Ago.
He
By
was
Al Jazeera.
He posted Al Jazeera documentary.
It was
like what was 40 minutes?
Yeah.
He was like, can
watch
you
the whole
feature it
thing
on the show?
And I'm like, no.
Yeah, watch the whole thing, and I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? I'm like, okay. Anyways, moving on.
Moving on. So that was the Rants of the Week because, asking and demanding for the genocide of the Jews is wrong. And,
That's
if
bad.
you're arguing against that, then you're a terrible person.
That's right. Anyways,
let's keep going.
Let's go on to the nothing to see here.
So nothing to see here.
Invincible.
Okay, so from the post-millennial, Hunter Biden indicted by federal grand jury on 9 counts related to his tax returns. Hunter Biden has been indicted by a federal grand jury on 9 counts related to his tax returns. The indictment includes felonies. NBC News, Robert Hunter Biden has been indicted, including felonies tied to an investigation into his tax returns, according to a copy of a 56-page indictment. So he had charges brought against him by U.S. Attorney Acting as Special Counsel David Weiss in September. Legal expert Jonathan Turley speculated these charges could be an attempt to disrupt Hunter Biden's congressional testimony that has been scheduled and slated for December 13th, which is, of course, next week. Biden was subpoenaed by the House Oversight Committee and is expected to be asked about a relationship with his father. Joe Biden has had with his foreign business deals over the year. The immediate question is whether this leak will be used to kick over the table in Congress. Turley said Hunter was holding a bad hand with a real threat of contempt. If he failed to appear for the deposition after the leak, he can invoke his right to remain silent in light of the refusal to allow him to testify publicly. And the second indictment that would require a vote of immunity from Congress to force him to testify, which will not likely occur. So, it's good that they're indicting him, but unfortunately, they still control the Department of Justice. And those who are aware of Hunter Biden's skeevy deals and Joe Biden's involvement, they already know. There's not much that's going to be revealed that hasn't already been revealed. Those who are say that they're waiting on the evidence are just not paying attention.
Oh no, Stephen, there's no evidence. There's no evidence anywhere, Stephen.
Those arguments
Zero
are hilarious.
Evidence.
There's no evidence of Hunter Biden wrongdoing.
Not a shred of evidence anywhere. Not a shred.
Okay. Snorting cocaine off a hooker's bum. No, that's not a problem. That's totally reasonable and moral behavior. Oh, man. Just hilarious. And I know that you're responding to a comment, so...
Sure am. You know me. I always got to get in there.
Mm-hmm. So, whether this will be something of merit, I would say probably not. Might be a bit of... I don't think it's a distraction.
Well, the sad thing about this is that it's so obvious that if you want proof that the American system is completely corrupt and that there's a completely corrupted justice system, Hunter Biden it's literally screaming in your face. The guy it's not that I don't like this person and I hope that that we just kind of target their kids. I'm like, this guy's an actual criminal and he was colluding with his father to commit crimes, and it's so obvious, and they're rubbing it in our faces, and the one thing we could always conclude is well, no one's going to get charged. Why? Because the system's corrupt, and these people basically get away with bloody murder, and they never get charged for it. It's just brutal. Yeah.
Yep. Watch something I put in the room. Yes. Well, this is our stream, so no. And we've been doing this, like, we've been covering the war since October 7th. Since it started. And who started it? Okay. Let's actually ask that question. Stop animal murder and torture. Who started this war? Like, honest question. Who started this war?
Because he'll probably say like Israel. But like, Israel's the one. Like, we're just responding. I'm like,
I was actually, I have a comment in regards to this. So my coworker got the Brits. Let's talk about 2023. Because 1947 was when they initially allocated it, and of course, well, yeah, you have beef with the Irish. I'm Scottish. I had some beef with the British.
That's right. Yeah.
Answer the question.
Big propaganda.
Answer the question. The Jewish colony.
Yeah, of course, it was the Jewish colony.
So I'm guessing you would try and say that Hamas, that the IDF were the ones who killed 1,200 people.
Of course, they're probably the kind of people that say that.
Yeah.
By the way, for those of you who actually study history,
yeah.
In 1947, the Jewish people, which by the way, they already had a substantial population of Jews in Israel already. The Jewish people, like when the state of Israel was established, guess what? America, Britain, France, they all just gotta be like, peace out, dude, we're out of here. And they just left Israel to themselves. And every single Arab nation around them basically attacked Israel all at once, thinking like, hey, we're gonna destroy this, this totally new people. And by the way, many of the people in that nation at the time in Israel were like survivors of the Holocaust. Okay. And you're telling me, oh, here come the colonizers who basically all got attacked all at once by 5 surrounding nations, and somehow managed to fight them all off and and hold off the attack from all these foreign people. You're telling me those are colonizers? The people who went in there and who got literally jumped by every nation around them? Give me a break. Seriously, give me a break. It's like this is historical revisionism. It's like the worst kind of historical revisionism ever. It's amazing to me. It's like, oh, here come the colonizers, Israel, who barely had an army, who had almost no equipment and no tanks and definitely no air force at the time that they first arrived. But oh, those darn colonizers, in they come. I'm like, oh my god. It's See, this is the intellectual laziness, Stephen, that I see.
Yeah.
Brutal. Yeah.
Well, this is it's scary that you'd say that the IDF, quote, the IDF killed lots by friendly fire on the 7th.
Where did they get the army and funding? At the beginning, they basically had to rely on their own people and the little money that they had at the time. You're trying to claim that they were the instigators and they were the people. They were by far the underdog.
Yeah,
I challenge you. Go back, look at any documentary, a single documentary about the first war that took place when Israel was founded after 1948. Just watch a single documentary on that. Anyone, I challenge you, any documentary, you will find that Israel was not the favored army. They were by far the weak people. They had almost no army, no military equipment, no nothing. And the fact that they won, you're you just feel bad that they won. You're like, if only we had wiped them off the face of the earth. If only we have taken them from the river to the sea back then. Oh, we'd be rid of those darn Jews. It's even now you're still supporting the idea of eradicating Jews. It's seriously, it's you know what? The world would be better off if Israel had been wiped out back after 1948. You'd be patting yourself on the back because then the Arabs would have completed the genocide that the Germans began. Aren't you proud that you're advocating for that? That you're advocating for finishing the Holocaust?
Yeah.
Wonderful. These are wonderful people here.
I don't actually know how to do that, Patriot, because I haven't done a ton of stuff on Twitch, so I'm not sure exactly how to enable cheering.
Cheering for Twitch bits?
Yeah. I'll Google that while Danny talks. So.
Yeah, are you gonna get me to monologue?
Yeah, time for you to monologue, man.
Oh man, See, the funny thing is like people who defend Hamas and try to they have to frame it under the oppressed kind of like matrix. Okay, again, this is what we said before. What does it mean to be woke? To be woke means that you support and you practice the intersectional tyranny of the left. That's what it is. Okay. And one of the things that they do, they try to frame Israel as the big baddie, the big bad wolf, and Hamas are the poor innocent, like we're just victims. But like if you actually look at history, which I studied history for like my entire university degree, I studied the Israel Middle East conflict. Like if you actually look into it, you know that Israel has been trying to hold off against incursion in basically like an entire world of people that hate them and are trying to destroy them. Okay, thankfully they've been able to hold it off. Now, again, has Israel done everything perfectly? No. Have they had some bad actors? Have they done some things in bad faith? Have they made bad deals? And have they said things that like I don't support? Yes, absolutely. Does that mean that Israel deserves to be like eliminated? No. Does that mean that Israel is committing a genocide? Well, like give me a break. Like at least make a legitimate. Okay, give me a break. Okay, you know how many children the Allies killed in World War II in cities all over Europe? Bulletproof baby. How many children did the Allies kill in all over Germany, all over France in World War II? It was way more than 7,000 kids. Does that mean that England and the U.S. were committing a genocide all over Europe? Are you actually going to make that claim that more than 7,000 kids? Yeah, by the Germans, because it was a war, but it was not a genocide. The problem is you throw the word genocide around like it's candy. Like you're this is just intellectually lazy. That's the problem. Yes, 20 million Germans died. You know why they died? Because it was a war.
Mm-hmm.
This is the thing that people never take into account. There is a war. Okay, let me walk you through it. Okay, Bulletproof Baldy. There's a war going on. War is where two nations start firing guns and shooting bombs at each other and take little tanks and they start blowing each other up. It's called war. And you know what happens when war moves into a city? People die. I know it's difficult to wrap your head around it. People die when bombs blow up in cities. It's amazing. You know what else helps like people to die in cities? When the people in the army that is supposed to be protecting the city forces the people not to flee. Guess what that does? That increases the amount of people dying. People die in war. It's amazing, huh? According to you, so I'm going to use the same logic to stop animal modern torture is using. It's like, by your logic, every single war, urban war in the last 100 years was a genocide. So guess what? America was guilty of genocide. Hamas is guilty of genocide. You know, like everyone's guilty. Everyone's guilty of genocide. You know, Canada's guilty of genocide. How dare we? We kill people in cities. We're guilty of genocide. Darn those genocidal Canadians. Darn those genocidal Egyptians. Darn those genocidal Iraqis. Darn those genocidal Iranians. Darn those genocidal Palestinians. Everyone's a genocider. You're a genocider. Everyone's a genocider. Why? Because according to your logic, people die in cities. Oh, genocide. Oh, magic genocide is the application that applies to everybody. That's the argument. Oh, some people died in the city. Genocide. Oh yeah. Tell that to the thousands of Hamas soldiers who have actual rocket launchers and machine guns. Yeah. You go ahead and think that magical thinking. Oh my gosh. Oh, Steven, it's crazy. This is the logic to people. It's not that I that supporting Hamas is like completely like morally corrupt thing is that people don't do it well. That is the problem. It's like, well, one side has more guns, therefore they're bad. They're big bad people because they're bigger and they have bigger guns, so they must be bad. It's like, and like Hamas has no army. I can't do this, Steven. This is just silly. We should just move on because this is the thing.
I'm
happy
almost,
to have.
I have to like set up this whole like tax information thing. So
my goodness,
I'm trying
man.
to get this done as fast as possible.
Oh, you got your thing. I don't support Hamas. I just support Hamas doings. The whole world knows this is a slaughter. I hate schluchters. Schluchters are the worst. In Whole Report, do you read that guy in the red shirt? Do you withdraw what you said? You called for genocide. Oh my gosh! Like you're calling for the genocide of Israel. Give me a break.
Called for the genocide of a terror group.
That's a terror group. Yes. In other words, a terror group. Yes. You know what I was totally okay with? I was okay with the systematic targeting and destruction of ISIS.
Mm-hmm.
You know why? ISIS,
and the Nazis.
bad. And the Nazis. I'm like, we're going to go and like destroy the entire army of the Nazis? I'm like, it's a good thing. We should probably destroy the entire army because the entire army is trying to genocide an entire group of people. Guess who else is trying to genocide an entire group of people and would if they had the chance? Hamas. Because they are genocidal maniacs who want to like wipe, like not just Israel, the army. They want to like actually target, hunt down, and murder innocent civilians. See, it's amazing to me. Oh, give me a break. Okay, he's not even trying to argue like properly, like 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 they're killing people in Gaza. Oh, genocide, magical genocide. You know what? Stop animal murder, torture, or SAMT. I'm just gonna call you SAMT from now on. You're basically a terror simp. It's like, oh, Hamas has the right to kill innocent civilians. We should just stop bombing Gaza because because you know what? Hamas learned their lesson. They'll stop killing people. If we stop bombing like Gaza, Hamas will be like, okay, we're sorry. We won't do it again.
And you they had a ceasefire for what was it, 2 days? And then what happened? Hamas terrorists went into Jerusalem and shot up a bus stop.
But Stephen, that's justified because Hamas are victims.
Yep.
They're the victims in all this. They're the poor innocent ones.
Yep.
And you know what?
Is justifiable as long as it's against the Jews.
Uh-huh. It's unbelievable. Like it's just
it's a joke. Now I have tried. Okay, so we can continue. So the Patriot Concierge, I'm just waiting on basically Twitch. So I'm trying to enable bits. I'm trying to enable all that stuff, but it's probably going to take a while. So come back on Tuesday.
Yeah, this is the problem. I hear and I'll say this is the last thing I'll say. Too many, and by the way, I hear this from even supposedly pseudo intellectuals on Timcast, on all other podcasts, people that talk in Congress. They basically try to they can't use accurate language. They use inflammatory language. They're like, oh, it's a genocide. Oh, it's an apartheid. Oh, it's an open air prison. Oh my God, it's the end of the world. It's like World War III. Oh, they're concentration camps or ghettos. And I'm like, you're not. If you want people to take you seriously, you have to start using accurate language, not inflammatory language. By the way, inflammatory language is language that is purposefully used to make it sound in the worst possible way, regardless of whether or not the language is accurate. Guess what? Genocide, calling something a genocide when there's no genocide happening, it's not a genocide. And speaking of you're trying to say well, they're only picking them off little by little. Guess what Hamas is doing? Hamas is trying to do a genocide little by little, but they're actually killing everyone. You know what else Israel doesn't do and the Israeli army doesn't do? They don't rape women. Amazing how morally superior the Israelis are. that they don't go in and like rape women on purpose. That's funny how like the morally inferior like Israelis are not raping women. Like, oh, those big baddies raping those poor women, raping those children. You know what I have heard? I've heard like horrible accounts of children. By the way, this is for Bulletproof Baby or Baldy and Stop Admiral Mortar. You're on team child rape and team child murder. That's your team. Congratulations. I hope you're happy with yourself.
Yeah. But continuing on with what we were talking about before. So you can talk about Alex Jones. Have fun.
Me?
Yeah, well, you were the one who brought up the story, so go for it.
Oh, okay. I've been going on for a while. I thought you wanted.
Wait, okay. I'll read the story and then. So I don't know a whole lot about this story because this was kind of added almost last minute to the show. Alex Jones tells Tucker Carlson that Joe Biden walks around the White House naked on trucks. He said only next move was to assassinate Trump. Alex Jones is hilarious. So he says interesting things, and sometimes he's right, and sometimes he's wrong. And it's always interesting trying to figure out which. In the latest episode of Tucker on X, Tucker Carlson spoke to right-wing commentator Alex Jones, who's become one of the most censored individuals in the world. Carlson kicked off the highly anticipated interview by introducing Jones as the world's most dangerous man.
Of course he is. You hear about that?
Yep.
Did you hear about how the Canada's trying to create a petition to stop Tucker Carlson?
Yep.
From entering Alberta?
From coming in January.
Oh yeah, because he's super dangerous.
Super dangerous to come to talk to our premier.
Yeah.
So the two discussed a wide variety of topics that included deplatforming, the border, the New World Order, depopulation, intentional racial division, the upcoming presidential election, and Alex Jones' many predictions, which Carlson said were spot on. Some of them were. Some of them were right, but in a different way. Like, his most famous one was turning the freaking frogs gay, which was partially true, but in reality, it was that the chemicals impacted the genitalia of the frogs and made them, intersex. So, sort of right. But this is all very interesting things.
Can you play that? Is that like an interview, or what is it?
I don't know what this is. You were the one who added this.
We're here with the world.
It's 1 hour. I'm not watching that.
Oh, I didn't know that was like.
Yeah,
well,
it's
it didn't say that.
It's the whole interview. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize it was the whole interview.
Let's see how long this one is. This is 1 minute. Let's watch
how
this.
They're escalating on Trump, whether you love him or hate him. He's now a populist icon. He's now the underdog. The globalists are coming after him. They're coming after our right to vote for who we want. He gets 60% against.
Which is the fundamental right in a democracy. The people rule. I can vote for whomever I want. And if you don't like that person, that's immaterial.
Absolutely.
Right?
And he's been indicted for saying they're stealing elections. They're stealing it.
Oh, I'm aware.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
In their indictments of him is election theft. But yes.
But despite that, he's got 60% against all other Republicans. He's 15, 20 points ahead of Biden. It's backfired.
No.
But the deep state's not going to stop. So when you said to Trump several times in that 400 million views or whatever you got, biggest show ever, you said to him, well, isn't the next thing them trying to kill you? And he's so confident he doesn't want to think about that. And
he doesn't want to think about it.
Whereas I admire someone that's that confident. The deep state does kill people. And that's their only next move because this is failing. And I think they're going to kill Biden too, or I think they're going to try to. What you said in the speech again before the last one I talked about like a month ago, you said, I don't see Biden and Trump being the candidates. You see the system, the media going after Biden, and he deserves it, but they were covering it up until now. Now they're covering the laptop. Now they're covering attacking the dog. Now they're covering, all of his senility, all the corruption, the Chinese spies.
Attacking a dog. What a pig he is.
That's crazy, eh?
Interesting. Now, of course, some of the things he said were true. Some of the things he said were not so true. But that's Alex Jones for you. He says it's sort of interesting because, in the debate last night, Vivek was like, "Oh, I'm going to say the unsayable things." And it's like, well, some of the things one of the things you said was unsayable, really. But
oh no, I think most of his attacks really landed. I was actually really I was watching it on Tim or listening to it on Timcast.
Of course.
And I was like, yeah, he kind of nailed it. He was probably the most enjoyable and actually entertaining person on that entire debate.
He was entertaining to watch.
He was also good. I if I had to pick somebody on that stage to be the Republican candidate, it would definitely be Ramaswamy.
Mm-hmm.
I actually like him more than Ron DeSantis. Not because I think he's obviously untested, but so was Trump when he first ran. But I actually think he has the charisma that he could actually win, and he has the intelligence that I think he could actually govern very well. Like he's not just like he's not like Newsom who just like throws out like grandiose like thoughts. He actually presents like, okay, here's a solution to a problem that people have had in the past. Like for example, when Ramaswamy said that like, okay, Trump couldn't fire anybody because there's like some kind of a law that says that you can't fire individuals in like certain agencies. But he said like, no, there's actually like a carve out where you can fire an entire like group of people for like whatever reason, like like, oh, we're downsizing, oh,
Mm-hmm.
we're cutting down. As long as it's not like a targeted like firing, you can actually fire people in big groups and all that. And I was like, that's actually a solid solution. I'm like, that actually is smart. So I actually appreciate that. I appreciate that he's actually that he's not just kind of using rhetoric, but he's an intelligent guy. And a lot of times when he doesn't know the answer to something, he'll be like, you know what? Let me research that before I give you an answer. And I'm like, man, I can respect that. Not just like giving like an answer that you don't know. I'm like, well, that's actually a decent
or just
answer.
Making stuff up.
No, like he's actually most of the time when he actually says something, I actually agree with him. I'm like, yeah, that's a good answer on Ukraine. That's a good answer on Israel. That's a good answer on the economy. That's a good answer on like what to do with the southern border. I'm like, whether or not it will work, that's like you'll have to try it out. But I actually agree with a lot of his policy positions. I think they're actually.
I think I can, if I, my problem with Vivek, and I've stated this before, that it's problematic that he'll say that he's not bought and paid for, but his company is 45% owned by the big three.
Yeah, but he's put up his own money. There's a difference.
Yes, put up his own money from the company that is bankrolled by the big three. His company was basically worthless 2 or 3 years ago.
That's like saying that Elon Musk is like bought and paid for because he used his own resources and assets to be able to buy Twitter.
Well,
nobody ever denies that
because Elon had a product.
Yes.
And he developed it, and he built a company around a successful product.
Okay.
What drug did Roivant produce?
Did what produce?
Roivant. It's a pharmaceutical company. It produces
one
drugs.
That Ramaswamy was part of?
Yeah, no, this is the company that he owns. Roivant produced one drug. It failed.
Okay.
How do you go from a company from 50 million to over 500 million with a failed drug?
Okay, so basically your argument is like you're suspicious of Ramaswamy. That's your argument. Yeah, and that's fine. You can be suspicious about that. But can you deny that he actually spent his own money on this campaign?
That he made from the company.
Well, wherever he got it, this is money that is in his own, that is his own to spend, and that he spent his own money to campaign. Is that deniable? Has he spent his own money? Has he spent money that was wherever he got it from? I can get, like, if I was like rich and I had money in stocks and I had money in whatever, in properties, whatever, but I take whatever like way I get all that money and I spend my own money on my campaign. Am I spending money, my own money? You're just like, it sounds like you're getting stuck on semantics here. Like, because he says he has spent his own money from his own accounts. He spent like I forget the actual amount. He said this on several occasions, and like these are from like very intelligent. Patrick Bet-David asked him about this. Charlie Kirk asked him about this. Who else? Steven Crowder asked him about it. Tim Pool asked him, well, not Tim Pool, but the Tim Pool show, and he said he has spent his own money on this.
Yes,
that is a major difference from what do you call it? Ron DeSantis to Nikki Haley to all of the other GLP candidates. Whether or not you agree with the process or not, they are running on money that's donated from super PACs. Okay? Ramaswamy is spending his own money, which means at the end of this entire thing, if he doesn't end up in any kind of like a government thing, that's all money he spent and lost. He's not getting that money back. that at least to me.
This campaign was intentionally like spending money and losing.
Yeah, so that's
like
that
the entire
at least
purpose of his campaign was to attack DeSantis. That was the entire purpose.
Okay, well, whatever. Like you can say that if you want. That's fine.
Though.
Well, no, that's speculation. Has he said that specifically?
No, he has not said that specifically. But his entire purpose has been to try and take the more conservative wing of the party away from DeSantis, because Trump has.
That's fine. You can have that theory, but that's speculation.
But if he was honestly campaigning, and like anybody who's honest about this race will admit this, Vivek is not campaigning to be president.
No, what do you think Ron DeSantis is doing? What do you think? I could make that same argument for DeSantis. Like, DeSantis is solely running to try to take support away from Trump because he doesn't like Trump.
But
do you have any proof of that? No, I'm just speculating. That's the whole reason why.
No, but if Vivek actually wanted to run to be president,
yes,
then why won't he criticize the guy who's number one in the race? Why won't he do it? Because he is entirely hoping to take away votes from DeSantis and not from Trump. He's not trying to go.
You are 100% speculating.
If he was trying to run for president while Trump is still in the race, if he's running to say, okay, if Trump drops out, like if Trump gets assassinated, then, which is almost what he's running to do.
Sure.
Is that if Trump gets removed from the race, that he's going to replace it. But he's not running on the fact of, I'm going to run as an equal candidate with everybody else.
Okay, what about every other candidate who tried to run the same way? Are you saying that they all basically just did it as a...
No, Chris Christie is not running to be president. Chris Christie is running as the revenge tour. That's what he is. He's running as the revenge tour.
And what about Tim Scott? What about Nikki Haley? What about all the other people that ran in there? You're telling me that every single one of them ran just to as a giant middle finger to Trump? Let's see. This is all speculation, man.
Pence did.
You can have speculation. That is fine. All I'm pointing out is that this is just guesswork. You're guessing. You're not basing it on anything that Vivek Ramaswamy has said. You're basing it on speculation of what I think, what you think strategically might be like.
What I'm saying is, in regards to that, is that if you are campaigning, if you are saying that I'm going to be running to be president, but I'm only really going to be campaigning as the shadow candidate, then he can say whatever he wants.
Who can? Like Vivek?
Vivek can say whatever he wants. Because he doesn't have to, he knows that if he's not that as long as things continue along the path which all the polls are saying that they will.
Which it's funny how you say that about Vivek, but you don't say that about DeSantis. Because even people now are predicting that Nikki Haley might have a better chance than DeSantis.
Well,
you're still stuck in DeSantis.
Nikki Haley has no support in Iowa, yet they're claiming she has 17%. She has basically no confirmed delegates.
Okay, well, you can talk about those kind of, but again, the idea that Trump is still the front runner for winning all these things. The idea is that you're assuming that Vivek is some kind of he's up to no good. That's certainly Vivek, and yet he's done more long form interviews than any other Republican candidate. Way more than DeSantis. Okay, I could actually even say that DeSantis is intentionally sabotaging his campaign, and I can actually provide legitimate examples of how he's actually, whether intentionally or not, because the fact that he has turned down 2 invitations to the biggest conservative conferences in America, where these are the places where the biggest bulk of the conservative base is actually joining up, and he could outright refuse them. Turning Point USA did a massive conservative conference, and DeSantis totally turned it down. Why? Nobody knows, but even people who are
pretty obvious why.
Why?
It's Charlie Kirk.
What's wrong with Charlie Kirk?
Charlie Kirk will defend anything Trump does. Absolutely anything.
Okay. Again, now you're just casting doubt into
Charlie Kirk said it was okay for Trump to say that a man can become a woman. He said it was okay.
That Trump said that?
Yes. After that interview, it was well, a lot of people are criticizing Trump, but that's not fair.
Okay.
And it's yes, it is. It's totally fair that people are criticizing Trump for that. It's weak.
No, it's again, like again, this is all political, like analysis. What you're doing, you're making conclusions.
what our
when
show
a
is.
lot of, which is fine. I'm fine with that. But I'm surprised that you're throwing Charlie Kirk under the bus when arguably Charlie Kirk is doing more for Republican, for the Republican Party in the next election, in every election, than anybody else in the Republican Party. This guy is doing like most of the heavy lifting on the ground game of the elections. But you're saying that you're saying you can't trust Charlie Kirk's opinion?
I'm saying that why would DeSantis show up to an event that is run by one of his opponent's biggest supporters?
You're assuming that that there's no upside for DeSantis. They're organizing these events for the entire base. See, like the whole thing with DeSantis, he claims his whole shtick is that I can appeal to more voters than Trump. That's his whole shtick, right? He's like, I'm more electable in the primary and the general than Trump. And yet he is intentionally avoiding going to a conference of the most conservative, the most passionate conservatives, young and middle America conservatives, and he's just basically giving them a middle finger. He's not just shunning Charlie Kirk; he's shunning every major conservative voter by saying oh, I don't need to go to your conference.
And
you're saying
Trump's just saying to every conservative voter that wants him to discuss the issue, screw you.
No, man. You're assuming that the conference is going to be it's going to be negative towards him, when most of these people supported like DeSantis for a long time. See, this is bad electoral strategy. If DeSantis wants to win, he needs to appeal to more of the base. And if he's avoiding a major part of the base, that is not good strategy, Ben. He is literally cutting off a massive portion of his base and basically saying well, here's my middle finger to you.
So hold on. So should DeSantis show up to Trump rallies?
No, that's a different thing. Trump rallies are specifically for Trump.
But Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA is specifically saying that they are promoting Trump.
He said, Charlie Kirk himself has promoted Trump.
Yes.
But Vivek Ramaswamy showed up to that, and a lot of other conservative, people running for the Conservative Party have shown up to those events, including I think Tim Scott. The whole idea that the Turning Point is entirely a Trump only thing, it's nonsense. Even these are made. I'm not even just basing this on some middle of the road nobodies. I'm basing this on some of the biggest voices in conservative circles. This includes Jack Posobiec. This includes Dan Bongino. This is Steven Crowder. You don't like Steven Crowder, that's fine, but you can't deny Steven Crowder has a big impact on the conservative movement. If you want to win over how do you expect to win an election if you can't even appeal to a massive portion of the base? What's your strategy for that? Seriously, what's your strategy?
What's the strategy?
If DeSantis thinks he's going to consolidate the base by this is the Aaron O'Toole.
Well, hold on. So you're saying that because DeSantis doesn't want to appeal to people who are supporting Charlie Kirk,
who are supporting Trump,
supporting Trump.
Sure.
And Trump has specifically said in several times that he wants to basically destroy DeSantis' life, destroy his career, make him unemployed, make him unemployable. His supporters have basically said that they want DeSantis, and people are saying, his supporters, some of his most avid influencers, are saying that DeSantis should be cut up with a rusty chainsaw.
Yeah, you're gonna use. Okay, seriously.
Laura Loomer called Riley Gaines a quote bitch and cunt. Laura Loomer.
Okay, Laura Loomer is a big mouth. That's fine. Okay, I'm not a big supporter of Laura Loomer. We're talking about Trump.
Yes.
No, this is the problem. This is sadly, this is what they do in on CNN. They take people's quotes. And they're like, oh, this represents the entire movement. Oh, here's one Trump supporter said something naughty. Therefore, Trump is completely.
I'm saying If a DeSantis supporter said something like that,
what they do, they say like
who
crazy
said something
things
like that?
this. Like the people bring up like
Who says that Trump should be killed?
Tim Poole and Patrick Bet-David and Charlie Kirk and many people have pointed out DeSantis supporters have said really vile things to them as well.
Okay.
This is not a phenomenon that is exclusively found on the Trump supporter side. And again, I reject this approach of like guilt by association. Oh, somebody who
well, I'm not a huge fan of guilt by association either. But if you're saying that that we shouldn't be appealing,
I'm saying this happens on both sides. That's what I'm saying.
Sorry?
I'm saying this happens. I'm saying this happens on both sides.
I'm just saying it's way less. Way less.
No, well, like you have to. Then you'd have to give me some kind of like a measurement and how you're tracking that.
Well, because I'm involved with them.
Oh, so am I. I'm involved with like the DeSantis supporters as well. DeSantis supporters.
Name them.
I don't know them specifically. I'm going by the testimony of people that I follow online, including Tim Poole, including Jack Posobiec, and including some of the major people who are like actually fundraising. Okay, you're dismissing. That's fine.
Yes, I'm dismissing them because these people, like Benny.
That's fine.
What is his name? Benny Johnson.
Benny
actively
Johnson
lied about the third Republican debate. He actively lied, saying the crowd was chanting for Trump. He actively lied.
Okay, I don't know that specific example. I haven't seen, but I have to look at it.
Johnny MAGA, proven child groomer.
Who's Johnny MAGA?
Johnny MAGA is one of the biggest Trump influencers on Twitter. He is a proven child groomer.
Okay, that's fine. It's just like Hamas. I'm like, I don't like that guy, and I don't support him. But that doesn't mean that the Trump. No, seriously, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with saying like I don't support this guy?
Okay,
but that doesn't prove that the Trump side is like the bad side. Like you're trying to make this like black and white argument. It's like, oh, Trump, everyone involved and who supports Trump is bad, and everyone who supports and will vote for DeSantis is good. That's too simplistic. And like and I need to say this. This is important here. Okay, you're dismissing some of the biggest and most influential voices in the conservative side, like outright. Okay, Benny Johnson, Charlie Kirk, Jack Posobiec. These are some of the biggest, most influential, and the people who have the vast majority of the ears of the conservative side. You're saying that these people are like somehow compromised, and you're saying that somehow DeSantis can win without their support. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that
that's not a good strategy.
Well, if it's not,
it's not a good strategy.
All right.
How do you expect to win? How does the DeSantis expect to win? If let's say, for example, let's just say everything works out, DeSantis wins the nomination for the primary. Okay? But he's pissed off a massive amount of the Trump supporting base. You think he can pull off? No, by pissing them off, by spitting on them. And a lot of his like actual like ideology. You think that that's a good strategy that he's going to get that support?
Of how he spat on them.
He has like it's like so he has his campaign has literally like ridiculed people on the Trump side. He has
by saying they're listless vessels.
He shunned the conservative conferences, like I've already said. Yeah, and he's he's like criticized and thrown Trump under the bus several times in several debates.
Which is
he's criticized.
Totally justified.
Okay, you can say it's justified, but you're. This is the Aaron O'Toole strategy, Stephen. This is why it won't work. Okay,
in Canada, Aaron O'Toole strategy was to abandon all principles and lean to the left.
No, Aaron O'Toole's strategy was try to win by trying to appeal to the left while throwing your base under the bus. That was the Aaron O'Toole strategy.
Yes.
Right now, DeSantis is running with the Aaron O'Toole strategy.
Trump has done that.
He hasn't.
He's thrown pro-lifers under the bus. He says that we cannot win with pro-life values. He's thrown conservatives under the bus.
And yet he's winning.
Well, you're saying that he's winning, but his campaign does not act like he's winning.
And yet he's getting like all the... he's winning all across the polls. People in every major conservative podcast...
If he was winning by that much, then he would ignore the rest of the competition. He would ignore them. He's not.
He is. He's not going to the debates.
Well, he's not going to the debates, but he spends the entire time watching them and then
Yes.
makes like endless commentary about them.
That's
the
great.
guy
That's
is
a good
focusing
strategy.
entirely on DeSantis.
Good
And
strategy.
It's a good strategy. You're
a
saying
good
that I'm winning
strategy.
by this. Like, it would be like the liberals saying that attacking the PPC as their main competitors.
The liberals are attacking
Like
the PPC.
the margin of difference between the liberals and the PPC is the margin that they've claimed that is between Trump and DeSantis. The liberals
That's
don't
a
attack
massive-
the PPC.
Yeah, that's
They
because they're
don't.
also the opposite. Their main competitor is the conservatives.
Yes.
What's your point?
I'm saying that if you're winning by that much, then you don't attack someone, you don't punch down that much.
Oh, so your argument is that if Trump wasn't winning, he wouldn't be like
no.
attacking
I'm saying that if he was winning by truly that amount, if he
Which
had like
he
these
is.
grand margins,
which he does.
well, no vote has been cast yet, so we'll see.
No, but nobody denies that Trump is ahead. Not even like the liberal media. They don't even like go that far and be like, well, this is just a fake lead. Like this is it's all in people's heads. It's just imaginary. This lead, like no, not even the left wing media is actually trying to argue that because it's not a good argument.
Yeah, because
Like,
the left wing media wants Trump.
Okay, well that's another like theory that you.
That's
that
not
you
a
play
theory.
from.
Washington Post, CNN have all admitted it, and the Democrats have support. They have donated to Trumpian candidates, and Democrats donated to Trump himself in 2016.
Yep.
Because they want the numbers, and they want the easily beatable candidate. We didn't even mention this on Tuesday. Biden wants to run against Trump because all of the Democrats see Trump as the easily beatable candidate.
And yet they're now panicking because remember that the Democrats are the same party that thought like we're gonna do the Bidenomics. That'll work. And that's backfiring horribly on them. So they're starting to abandon that strategy. And guess what strategy they're trying now? They're trying Trump is going to be a dictator. Why would they do that? I mean, don't they want Trump to be their guy? And like the idea is that the Democrats, that everything that the Democrats try is going to succeed. That's the idea. But even like despite them going after Trump with all these these legal battles, Trump's support
don't come
remains
to
high
fruition until after the primaries.
That's fine. Trump's support still remains high. It's like the idea is that the Democrats are playing like this 4D chess. That's basically the idea, right?
That they're playing 4D chess.
That's the theory that you're
it's
playing.
It's not really 4D chess. It's basic.
It is 4D chess.
It's stuff that they've claimed that they've done for years.
No, you're saying that this is like there's a hidden agenda that they're not saying explicitly. They're just like they're trying to trick the American public into like choosing Trump because they believe that he's gonna he's gonna be worse in in general. Now that's a theory. It you got some stuff to to play with on that theory. But whether or not that theory is correct or not, that's all speculation. Okay, you're speculating on future events.
Yes,
that's not fact.
Well,
There's no fact here.
That's just polling is.
But that's fine. Polling is also based on current trends. Polling can change depending on how trends change. Okay, polling is based on a current trajectory. That's what polling is.
But it's also based on who they're polling.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But there's ways of determining whether a poll is going and whether a poll is good or bad, and there's criteria that you can use to examine a poll. You're just assuming that, well, Trump can't win because the Democrats, they've sprung the trap and they're gonna pull off the biggest gotcha moment ever. I'm like, well, that's the theory. Like, well, maybe it'll work,
Not
maybe
really
it won't.
A gotcha moment.
No, it is because your theory.
Like, he'll be convicted, which he will. He will be convicted.
Your theory is that that the Democrats are trying to play the Republicans by getting them to vote like little fools, like little lemmings for Trump, and then once Trump is elected as the nominee, now we spring the trap. Now we're gonna do our thing, and we're gonna make Trump into an unelectable candidate. Which again, all of this is it possible? Sure, but again, this is all speculation. You talk in these when these are all guesses.
Yes.
Okay. They're guesses, Stephen.
Yes, that's what the future is. I guess.
That's fine. That's fine. But you're talking about the future like it's a certain thing, which is not.
Based on every relevant bit of data that we have.
Yes,
this is what they're planning to do.
Okay, that's their goal. But whether or not, look at like I'm not even.
Yes. Okay, I'll admit that it may or may not happen, but that is their goal. That is what they have been. That is what they have been deigning to do since the very start.
Yeah, yeah. I'm saying that whether or not they try to pull
the general.
Okay, again, this is the Ben Shapiro approach. He's basically like we have to abandon Trump at all costs because he'll never win. And I'm like, no, I disagree with him. Ben Shapiro's a smart guy. I think he's wrong on this one. I think again, there's a lot of people that I listen to in the conservative space, a lot of them that are very influential people, and all of them disagree with this idea that Trump cannot win. Okay? That's what I'm saying. Like my idea, my approach is not based on just wishful thinking. This is an approach that is supported by some of the most well-read and most these are intelligent people, Stephen. They talk to everyone around them. Do you respect Tim Pool?
Not much.
Okay.
No.
Do you you don't respect Tim Pool? You don't respect Charlie Kirk?
The fact that Tim Pool rejected DeSantis, and he said that on the same day that Trump released an AI footage of DeSantis, the DeSantis campaign, not DeSantis, but DeSantis campaign released an AI picture of Trump.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I'm never going to vote for DeSantis ever.
Yeah. Do you actually understand the logic behind why he said that?
Well, do I understand the logic that both of them release AI things
walk me through the logic
to the other
of
group?
Walk me through the logic of why Tim decided to basically turn back on DeSantis based on the AI picture. What was the logic that he used? Give me that.
The logic was that it was demeaning in that it was what's the term for it? It was a defamation.
Wrong.
That's what he said.
No, I literally have listened to his entire argument for that thing. Yes, the Trump campaign released a AI image of DeSantis pretending to be on of DeSantis on a rhino or something like that. Something that looked bad. Okay, that's not what Tim Pool was arguing. Tim Pool was arguing that the DeSantis campaign released a political ad, and they released AI footage or pictures and tried to pass them off like they were real pictures. And they were obviously fakes. What he was upset about is that they were trying to pretend and tried to pass off AI images that were very obviously faked. And they tried to put that into a political campaign to try to fool Republican voters into thinking, oh, look, Trump is giving Fauci a hug.
So it's equatable to a lie. Equatable to a lie.
A blatant lie. And that's the problem.
Okay. And Trump
very obvious
lies about DeSantis all the time.
Okay, but that now you're just doing the whataboutism. Okay?
But it's the same thing. It's okay for Trump to lie, and it's not okay for DeSantis. Campaign to lie, not DeSantis himself.
Again, you're just trying to bypass the entire thing. Is that a legitimate criticism of the DeSantis campaign?
Yes, it was a legitimate criticism of the DeSantis campaign.
That Tim Pool had called the DeSantis campaign on it. They knew about it. They refused to say anything about it, and they didn't change it, acknowledge it, or even try to remedy it.
And I'll criticize them for that. I'll criticize them for that. Yes.
So Tim Pool has a legitimate rationale. This is not just
being the grounds for dumping him and attacking him and saying that he's basically ruined his life, which is how Tim Pool attacks him now.
He does not. Okay,
he does. He puts up on the tagline saying DeSantis's career is over.
Yeah, because he truly believes it is.
How is that not trying to destroy the man's life? Like it's gone from I disagree with the campaign that they did to I want him to suffer.
No, he never said that he wants DeSantis to suffer.
Listen to how he talks about DeSantis.
He talks about DeSantis because he dislikes the campaign. Because the campaign...
He used to hate the campaign. Now he hates the man.
Like give me an example of something he said that he hates the man. He thinks his career is over. That's a statement of fact.
Yes.
He believes that
is it okay? Is it okay for him to say that it's okay for his career to be over?
Well, he believes that his career is over because he believes that his campaign has ruined any prospects of him having a political future. Which I actually agree with him. I think that that this is a miscalculation on DeSantis' side. And I truly believe that, what I agree. The DeSantis campaign has been a train wreck. Even Ben Shapiro agrees with that. He's like, DeSantis has run a very poor campaign. That's putting it mildly. A lot of people have looked at the DeSantis campaign. They've seen a lot of the foibles and a lot of these things that are unforced errors. A lot of them are downright wow, what the heck were they thinking? And so it's obvious that something has gone wrong in the DeSantis campaign, and he shot himself in the foot more often than not. Why has he not fired the people responsible for this terrible campaigning? That's a legitimate question. Why hasn't he fired these people, Stephen?
Okay.
These people have.
I genuinely don't know. Why doesn't Trump fire Laura Loomer?
I don't know. Maybe Trump has a loyalty to her. No, seriously.
Well,
no,
and that's the same thing. It's a loyalty thing.
Okay,
These
fine.
were the same people that carried him in 2018, the same people that carried him in 2022, and it's a loyalty thing.
Okay, that's fine. But he's trying to argue. DeSantis is trying to argue. I'm going to be better than Trump because I will pick better people than him. But he can't even pick good people to run his own political campaign. But we somehow have. He wants us to believe that that'll be fixed by the time he's president, and that by that point he'll be picking better people. I'm like, not very convincing on my side.
Okay.
If he can't pick good people for his own campaign, and if he can't hold people accountable,
a campaign is indicative of how he's going to run?
Yes, because he can't choose good people, and he then can't hold people accountable when they make very obvious mistakes.
Okay, how did he fail as governor then?
That's okay. So
you're saying that it's like he's done wonderful things as governor, best governor in America, and then his campaign is run marginally poorly because of the people that ran his 2022 campaign, in which he won by 2.5 million votes, decimated the opposition.
Yes.
And then now he's running up on his policies in Florida, in which you have never opposed a single policy that he's done in Florida or the things that he's accomplished in Florida.
I think he's done a great job in Florida. I think he's a great governor. Yeah.
Okay.
That does not translate. This is my argument. My argument is not that DeSantis is a bad governor. That's not my argument. My argument is that DeSantis is a poor campaigner and that he's not a better fit for president than President Trump. Because as governor, he has had the Republican House in Florida and a Republican Senate. And for the most part, he has been operating under basically a triad of Page. Okay? If he's going to be president, he's going to be working with a very different scenario of a ton of people who are going to be very much against him. This is the exact same thing that Trump had to deal with when he was president. He had people on every side trying to obstruct him, trying to basically trip him up, and trying to prevent him from being able to do most of the things that he wanted to do. Even people on the Republican side. Okay, so the idea is that you can transfer being a great governor to being a great campaigner to being a great president. Okay, I think Ron DeSantis is a great candidate. I do like him, but I don't think he's the best candidate. I think that Trump is a better candidate, and I think he has proven that he can be a good president as well.
Okay.
And I'm willing to give him another chance because I think he has proven that he has already shown that he is a good president.
And if he was running on the same policies as 2020, I would give him a lot more credit.
That's fine. You don't like the guy, and that's fine. You can choose to reject him as candidate. That's totally your prerogative. No problem.
Yeah.
I just don't believe. Yeah.
It's now over 2 hours, so we do need to kind of catch up with the rest of the show.
Good luck.
Yeah. Okay. We can just kind of move through this really quickly.
DeSantis is pro-war, maybe.
That's no evidence of that, but okay. Dozens of Palestinians are captured by IDF, stripped and paraded around Gaza. The men allegedly surrendered in Jabalia camp and other areas of northern Gaza. At least 100 Palestinian men have been pictured stripped in their underwear, bound and lined up to their knees after reportedly being captured by Israeli soldiers in northern Gaza. Shocking footage shared by Israeli media appears to show Israel Defense Forces, IDF, troops rounding up scores of men and transporting them on the back of trucks. The men allegedly surrendered in the Jabalia refugee camp and other areas around northern Gaza, with Israeli outlet Walla saying they were stripped to rule out the possibility that they were carrying weapons. Yeah, makes sense. So this is a picture of all of them. So, good. Hamas terrorists. Rounded up and sent to prison.
We're winning.
Yep. Okay, next one.
IDF.
Boris Johnson gives evidence to COVID inquiry. The key moments. I'm just blowing through these super quick. Boris Johnson is finished giving his 2 days' worth of evidence in the COVID inquiry. Here are the key points. Johnson apologizes but doesn't go well with bereaved families. As expected, it was trailed in the press. The former prime minister began with an apology for the pain and loss and suffering caused by the pandemic. He acknowledged that unquestionably his government may have made mistakes in its handling of the crisis, in that the UK was too strict, and he hoped the inquiry could provide answers for victims and bereaved families. The statement was interrupted by 4 women, all who lost loved ones during the pandemic, holding signs, "The dead can't hear your apologies." Well, his policies didn't kill them.
No. But the reason the story is relevant is because this is the first government inquiry that has some teeth in any major Western democracy. So we actually have like an actual like government inquiry into COVID, which is good, and I hope to see this coming to other countries, including to Canada. That's why it's relevant.
Yeah. And him, yeah, you can cover the next one.
Or you can go if you want to say something.
I could just keep going. I don't like. Okay. Yes, governments need to be accountable for the stuff that they did in COVID-19 during the pandemic. Unfortunately, this is going in the wrong direction. They're trying to hold governments accountable because they didn't lock down hard enough, and that's very troubling to me that they're doing this. And I think the next lockdowns, which they will try and bring more lockdowns, whether it's related to this white flu or white pneumonia that it's going to be, white lung pneumonia, or whether it's related to like climate lockdowns and fuel reserves or whatever, any of the above, that they will say, "Oh, we didn't lock down hard enough for COVID." So there needs to be massive resistance in saying, "No, you locked down too hard. You need to be able to trust the people to make their own decisions for the most part. And you need to be able to give them the information so they're not low information voters. They're not low information citizens. You need them to have the availability to research and have discussions and have debates about topics that might be averse to the government's sensibilities. Because otherwise you're just going to have propaganda and government brainwashing. Just like this, COP28. An update on the first half of the UN climate conference.
That was a good segue.
Yes, summary of some of the news from the first half of the COP UN climate conference in Dubai, including a spectator row from the host president's remarks from the science of fossil fuels, negotiations around fossil fuel reduction commitments, and other successes and setbacks so far. So, this has been shock over comments from the COP president, Sultan Al-Jaber. Sultan Al-Jaber sent a video call last month. There was no science indicating the phase out of fossil fuels was needed to restrict global heating to 1.5. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. It's entirely bunk science. It's just like the whole thing of, 97% of climate scientists? Do you remember where they got that figure from?
It was from some paper, wasn't it? Like some guy.
Well, it was from some paper, but what they did was they asked these scientists, "Do you agree that the climate is changing?"
Like that's like asking like climate science, like or environmental. Do you believe that summer is hotter than winter?
Yes.
It's like, yes. It's like consensus. I tell you, consensus.
Yeah, and it was like, what? That was your question? And then they say it as though it's like 97% of scientists agree with climate change, and it's like, that is false.
That's almost
you phrased the question wrong.
That's almost as bad as that like like the straw study. Remember that where they got the for like the straws being like a big part of the pollution. They got it from like it was like a 10th grader like science project, and he came up with a number by just calling a whole bunch of like companies and being like, well, I talked to all these companies and here's my magic number. And he created, and like even the Canadian government like made reference to that was like an 8th grade like science paper or project or something like that. That's the Canadian government for you. It's like, we believe in 8th grade science. Good job, Canada. So ashamed. Anyways,
8th grade science.
The funny thing is, we covered that story on Tuesday, where like the people who are going to this climate conference were stranded in Germany because it was too freaking cold. It's like global warming, my butt. Anyways, let's talk about the Daily Mail story. I can talk about it. So is Venezuela preparing to invade Guyana? Russia and Iran ally President Maduro stakes claim to oil-rich region of former British colony and authorizes teams to begin drilling. Nicolas Maduro on Sunday held a referendum asking Venezuela referendum. Like most people are too sick, too like malnourished and sick to even be able to like speak, like you have a referendum, whether they wanted neighboring Guyana Essequibo disputed for 100 years to be theirs. Hey, my people, do you want me to just go over there and take that? It's like, I'll take that as a yes. Maduro said 95%. Wow. Like, like speaking of fake elections, my goodness, 95% of Venezuelans were in favor of Caracas taking control of the Guyanese land, about the size of Florida and rich in minerals. On Tuesday evening, Maduro unveiled a new map showing the territory incorporated into Venezuela and dispatched the general to the border. Venezuela's president. So basically, they basically decided to invade Guyana. Oh yeah, this country is so like so up there in terms of moral high way to go. And right to their east. The Venezuelans have made heaven on earth, and they want to share it with the world. Hey, we've created paradise. Want to join? Not really. Okay, you're part of our country now. Enjoy. It's like wonderful. Yeah, that's wonderful, Stephen. So they're like the Fire Nation and Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's like we've reached a pinnacle of of our society. Now we need to share it. Sir, do you mean conquer? Like, no, we're sharing it by force and guns and tanks. We're just gonna take it. All right. Speaking of total blowhard dictators, let's talk about what's happening in Calgary, Stephen.
Yep. Our own mayor.
Our own mayor.
Yikes.
Who I people told me before that this lady was going to be worse than Nahid Nenshi, who was our previous mayor. I was like, that's going to be hard to beat.
That's hard. It's like, nope, she did it.
She has done it many times over.
Oh, yeah.
Many times. So, Calgary Mayor Jyoti Gondek, the Wicked Witch of the West, we like to call her, announced her decision to skip the city's annual menorah lighting ceremony at City Hall, claiming she could not attend because of the event's support for Israel. Oh, great job. You've just signaled support for anti-Semitism. Good job, yeah. Terrible, horrible human being. Gondek wrote in her press release, posted to X, formerly Twitter, on Wednesday, that she has looked forward to attending the event over the years. She said that when she initially asked to speak weeks ago, it was to bring traditional greetings celebrating Hanukkah and the spirit of the Calgary's Jewish community. However, she claimed in her release that the event has been repositioned as an event to support Israel. Because, God forbid you could support Israel. You know why she's doing this? Because Israel's or Calgary's Jewish community is too small of a voting bloc, and she wants to hold on to the Muslim vote. Like, what a morally upstanding, wonderful woman. The last minute change goes against in the original intention and has left me feeling down by leadership, Gondek wrote. She added this change makes it impossible for... Huh? What?
Okay, why would the Calgary Jewish community not be supporting Israel? Like
That's going to change against original.
This claim where she says she's claiming that the event had been repositioned as an event to support Israel. That was like when she said when she drove by the original like March for Our Kids that they surrounded her car.
No, that's pretty easy because she's evil and she's a pathological liar.
That's true.
Pretty simple to me. That's pretty simple.
I was laughing. My coworker was telling me, like, dang, I wish I had accosted her, but I was wearing like company attire, and I'm like, I know.
Yeah,
because that would look bad.
These are the same people that if Pierre Poilievre is like, if they see him petting a cat, they'll be like, Pierre Poilievre is abusing animals. He's all for animal cruelty. I'm like, okay, boomer, sit down. You're clearly drunk on your own power. That's what you are. All right, final story, Stephen.
Yep.
You got it.
All right. So, kind of briefly back to what we were talking about earlier. Megyn Kelly reveals what Chris Christie told her during debate commercial break. So
it's Krispy Kreme. Come on, get it right.
The Chris-assance.
He's right.
Attendees of the debate spotted an apparently exasperated Christie speaking with Kelly and two other moderators after getting into a heated spat with Vivek. Footage of the moments went viral on the internet and sparked widespread speculation. Kelly said a pissed-off Christie complained about not getting enough questions from the moderators during the debate. He was pissed off. He was mad he wasn't getting enough questions, and he said, I made it up on the stage, and I haven't been able to speak in a while, and I should have been brought in on that last debate. And I had a couple minds of it. I said, we're coming for you. You're going to be happy in the second hour, which I lived up to. Okay.
And that was something that I did notice. Like, it was like he was like nowhere to be found in the very beginning of the debate.
He was basically invisible.
I'm like, is he still there? Like, did he just walk off? Like that? I was actually wondering. Like, you barely hearing from him and all. And it sounded like they were like they were like shutting him a bit because some people were saying like, why are you still here? Like, that was like, who is actually like supporting like Chris Christie at this point? Like, I was actually wondering that too. I was like, yeah, it seemed odd that he was like still there. He actually seemed more like a moderator. I don't know that from the debate.
Chris Christie?
Yeah, because he was like, we've been talking for like 15 minutes.
He said
this
that,
is what we talked about.
And then he and then he was white knighting for Nikki.
Yeah, he was.
Because Chris Christie is he's basically the I'm angry candidate.
Oh no, he's the please recruit me Democrats for your what do you call when they try to like do that, like, we're all working together thing.
Unity?
No, it's
bipartisanship.
Thank you, bipartisan. There's like I think he's going for the same thing that Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger were going for. Is like, like, hey, I'm a Republican. Bring me into this thing, and then you'll seem bipartisan because I'm a Republican. I'm sure you are. Free. He's a war hawk. Yeah, but like, the debate was odd, and that Christie was kind of like non-existent. It was like basically Ron DeSantis, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Nikki Haley. That was the thing. By the way, my favorite moment of the entire debate, I was like, that was epic. I was like, that actually made the whole debate worth it for me. Is when like Vivek Ramaswamy held up that sign. It's like Nikki equals corrupt. I'm like, yes, that was good. I was like, that was too good. Like, the guy actually gets social media. I'm like, well done, man. It was
a social media moment.
Created a meme. Like a year from now, no one's going to remember what was said in the debate, but they're going to remember. Like, remember when Ramaswamy held out that people's paper? I'm like, yeah, that was good. And kudos to like to Ron DeSantis when he did that against Gavin, held out the poop map.
Oh,
I was like, well done, Ron. Well done. That was good. That was a moment. That was a good moment.
Yep.
All right.
Man.
Well,
all right.
Finish
so
off.
let's go. So the weekly exposure. So let's do the intro for that.
You weren't expecting this.
Oh yeah.
And the weekly highlight. But first off, so U.S. schools guide students to secretive online LGBTQ chat rooms to discuss transgenderism with adults. These sites, which facilitate discussions on topics ranging from gender-affirming surgeries to occult practices, involve interactions with minors and adults who identify as LGBT, often without parental knowledge or consent. Who would have thunk?
Often.
So schools
Like,
across the
all the
U.S.,
time.
from Massachusetts to Wisconsin, are coming under scrutiny for directing children to online LGBT chat platforms. The sites which facilitate discussions on topics ranging from gender-affirming surgeries to occult practices involved in interactions between minors and adults.
Called,
so the Daily Wire
groomers!
reports, yes, groomers. Public schools have encouraged LGBTQIA plus youth to use QChat, a platform designed for chat-based discussion groups for teens aged 13 to 19. The site backed by... Yes?
This is basically drag queen story hour, but in chat form.
Yes, but online
exactly what it
and
is.
chat form.
Online, yeah, it's basically what it is. Because the whole goal, we talked about this before. We did a whole episode on it. The whole purpose of drag queen story hour is to basically try to recruit kids into the queer,
the family,
into the queer community. That's the whole point. The people who created it said that. You may continue.
Okay, hold on. Oh no, I got a. There was a message from Shelly.
Oh, Shelly's throwing up the chat. What the heck?
Okay.
Well, in yeah,
I think
so
she has a. It's interesting.
A cool new toy.
Well, she has. It's very similar to what you have for your microphone.
Yeah, something a little fancy looking.
Yeah, it's pretty fancy. So
you should take
maybe
a look
useful.
at it.
Yep. Anyways, the site backed by various LGBTQ activist groups and Planned Parenthood. Ooh, yes.
That's always a good association.
Always a great sign.
Nothing but good could come from this.
I think the last time we spoke about Planned Parenthood was we did a segment about a demonstration, a set of flashcards that they had in Saskatchewan, where it was like K is for kink. And it was like, oh, this is a totally normal thing to show to an 11-year-old.
That's not in any way like creepy or weird or odd or something like that. You know?
So the site backed by various I already did that. Notably, QChat features a quick escape button, enabling users to quickly conceal their activity from parents.
Oh, that's not
totally not a massive red flag.
Not suspect at all.
Similarly, Wisconsin schools have guided students to Trevor Space, another platform allowing minors to chat anonymously with adults. Trevor Space, a project of the Trevor Project, allows minors has faced criticism for hosting graphic conversations about sexual topics and advising minors on way to conceal activities like obtaining breast binders from their parents. Yep, this is just fantastic. For example, a social worker in Maine provided a 13-year-old girl with a breast binder to aid her social transition without parental knowledge. Nicole Neely, president of Parents Defending Education, highlights that many gendered policies in districts are promoting as anti-bullying measures, with districts citing mental health data.
You know that the breast binders are actually a form of self mutilation. Like I remember I did a little bit of a research on those. I'm like, when you start if you're a girl and you start wearing breast binders, those can cause very serious irreversible harm to your body, including your breasts. Because if you wear breast binders long enough, you basically will ruin your breasts. Not only will they cause all sorts of serious damage to your internal organs, including your heart, your lungs, and other internal organs, but they can cause some very severe permanent damage to your breasts. Which means that even if you stop using them after a short time, you basically have compromised your breast to the point where they can't recover. People have said it's like after extensive use. They've said doctors describe them like deflated balloons, which sounds silly, but I'm like, no, that's legitimately you have caused irreversible damage or harm to healthy body parts. And the same goes with tucking. Because Stephen, what is one of the worst things that men can do or boys can do to their genitals? Is press them hard against their body. This is why people actually have actually said that boys particularly should not wear skinny jeans.
Yep.
Because that is actually harmful to your
really destructive for your sperm.
To your genitals. And on top of that, I remember a story. I'll finish on this.
Yep.
There was when I was working with childcare, I was working before and after school care. There was this one girl. She was 8 or 9 years old. Okay, she was a little girl. And she started she got into it. She suddenly started to wear high heels everywhere. Every time she came to the before and after school. And she would wear high heels everywhere. She wore them to school. She wore them to field trips. She wore them everywhere. Eventually, some parents started getting concerned, and they were actually that like if you don't like if this mother doesn't intervene and stop her child from wearing these, we're gonna basically get like what do you call it, the what are the people that social services like to look into it, because the problem with wearing high heels, especially when you're a tiny little kid like still developing, is that they can cause some irreversible damage to your spine, to your development and all that kind of stuff. It's not good for young underage girls to wear them because they're still developing. And so, yeah, once the threats came down, the mother was like, yeah, you're not wearing these anymore because they actually could cause harm and damage to a little girl, especially with as much as she was wearing them. So if heels can cause damage to an underage girl, how much do you think breast binders and basically like chemical castration, how much that's going to harm a developing child? Like, again, this is the child abuse, all of this. And it's not even like inflammatory. It's like literally describing it. It's like you're literally like helping children to basically harm themselves. So yeah, like these stories are insane, and it's insane that people let people get away with it. It's just not good. All right, Stephen, take us to the weekly highlight number.
Alrighty, so Elon, back to something we talked about was this on Tuesday? We talked about.
Yep.
Yes.
I think we did.
Or was that Thursday?
All hail Elon.
Yes, well, all hail Elon. Yeah, I think it was Thursday we talked about this. It was last week. It was the F off comment.
By the way, that's an inside joke for us.
Yes. If you're asking where that continuous inside joke for us comes from an episode of Last Man Standing, where he talks about the robots who control the Tesla vehicles overthrowing humanity. Be like, we have driven our human overlords into the ocean. All hail Elon.
Elon. All hail Elon. That was very funny.
Yeah.
All hail Elon.
So Elon Musk is attacking yet another advertiser that has left ex-Disney. He pounced on news that New Mexico sued Meta over allegations it didn't shut down child exploitation. The ex-CEO wrote on that Disney CEO Bob Iger should be fired for advertising on Meta's platforms. So, Musk passed on news that New Mexico's Attorney General sued Meta and its CEO, longtime Musk rival Mark Zuckerberg. The lawsuit alleges that Meta's social networks aren't doing enough to protect kids, and that Instagram and Facebook is not safe spaces for children, but rather prime locations for predators to trade child pornography and solicit minors for sex. One user on X pointed out that Disney was still advertising on Meta. The company recently pulled ads on X after Musk supported an anti-Semitic post, which is not really true. Musk chimed in, misspelling the Disney CEO's name, Bob Iger. Thinks it's cool to advertise next to child exploitation material. Real stand-up guy. When another user asked why Iger hasn't been fired yet, Musk replied he should be fired immediately. No kidding. So, I actually I was in the break room at work, and we were joking, and there was a Babylon Bee article that got flagged in community notes. Because essentially what they said was that the Babylon Bee article was like, oh, Disney, after removing content on X, complaints about child grooming go down 100%. From like Disney removing advertisements on X. And then they actually had a community note that because enough people believed that it was true.
Yeah.
And I was like, yep.
Actually, I had to admit, like, one of the best things about X is that community notes are what
they're fantastic.
Fact checking used to be about. Should be.
Yep.
But like, yeah, it's like if you here's my favorite thing. If people ask me like, is that true? Like when I hear something, I'm like, oh, here's what you do. Go to like Snopes, go to PolitiFact, go to like, one of those things, see what they say about it. And the truth is the opposite. That's how you know, that's basically truth checking. It's like go see what USA Today says, go see what like PolitiFact says, go see what Snopes says, and the truth is basically whatever's the opposite of what they say. That's exactly how it is.
Yep. So,
by the way,
anyways, what?
I made a good comment on the comments. I think it was Patriot. No.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, General Eric Anomaly. He said, like, does it make sense to set up laws for such a small society? And I was like, well, interesting standard. Would you support not banning cannibalism, considering how few cannibals exist? Like the argument, if the argument is, well, there's too few transgender people in society, so we shouldn't waste time trying to make laws for them. I'm like, well, like it's like if we wanted to make a law saying like it is illegal for aliens to kill humans, I'm like, I'd be like, sure, let's make that law. Like, why wouldn't you make that law? I'm like, sure. So like the worst case scenario, it's a waste of time, but at least you have a law in the book saying like, it's illegal for aliens to kill humans. I'm like, well, now if an alien kills a human, you have a law in the books. This is the same argument that people have made about like it's like making a law restricting like late term abortions. They're like, that doesn't happen, and even if it does happen, it's way too rare. I'm like, then why don't you agree with making a law for that if it does happen a few times? It's like, well, because it's super rare. I'm like, so what? It's like, well, we just shouldn't do it. It's like, yeah, okay, you're obviously wanting to make sure that people can still do those late-term abortions. You're just obfuscating. I'm like, come on. No, it's not good. So, by the way, Stephen, do you have a positive opinion of Mr. Elon Musk?
Yes.
For the most part? I think he's done a good job, eh?
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, X's or Twitter is way better.
Yep. Yeah, I call it Twitter X. Or you can call it Twix. A lot of people are calling it Twix now.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is pretty funny. It's like, Twix is better. So, yeah, good job, guys. Thank you for keeping interesting on the chat. That was really good.
That went all over the place. It did.
Yep. You guys were just
though.
like launching into it. It was fun to see.
Yep. Started off with, hit terror simps. And then
those were always fun.
Always fun.
But genocide. But genocide? Genocide? I'm like, it's not a genocide, but it's genocide. I'm like, okay, I can't talk to you.
Yeah. And like, we appreciate your input, Bulletproof Valdi. We don't agree on everything. That's obvious, but we appreciate your willingness to engage. And it's nice to see
the hosts argue. You guys should do that more. Well, don't worry. You just get us you get us a conversation about Trump and DeSantis. We'll launch into it.
Mm-hmm.
It's I think this is the most like disagreement we've had.
Yeah.
On a topic.
I'm trying to think of other topics.
No, it's probably this one.
It's this one.
This one's the one that we're like at odds.
Most everything else we're pretty much aligned with, or like if we have minor disagreements, then they'll be fairly minor.
Yeah.
Debating, yes.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, we're not going to insult each other.
No. I respect Stephen's right to be wrong. That's totally fine. I'm very respectful about that.
And I respect Danny's right to be unprincipled.
Liar. Don't worry, Stephen. Everything we'll be back to normal once Trump is elected and he's the president again. Then we'll be back in normal, right?
Okay.
No worries.
Yeah,
it'll be good. It'll be good. We should do like a Roseanne Barr, bet. Be like, $20 says that Trump will be the next president. Be like, you're wrong.
Well, it'll be, what is it? Iowa's in 45 days?
Yep. So. I actually found it interesting when I found out that not a single candidate for president, like Republican president, won Iowa. That was something I found interesting. I was like,
not for the past 20 years.
Yeah, which is crazy. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Because they make such a big deal about Iowa. And I was like, oh, that must mean whoever wins Iowa has a big, humongous, massive advantage for the presidency. And it's like, yeah, but not a single actual
Usually Iowa is the determinant of it's usually where the race gets thinned out.
Yeah, because by that
Biden
point,
wins, who pays who? We pay more in everything.
No, it's a simple bet. It's like I bet that Trump will win, and if anybody other than Trump is the president, then I lose. It's a pretty simple bet.
What can you explain Raytheon? I'm confused.
I think it means Boeing. Boeing, like the planes.
Oh, like
Boeing, like the.
Yeah,
I just don't
get,
think he's spelling it right.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the reference is to though.
Never insulting. That's when you lose. Raytheon, Boeing,
arms manufacturing. Oh, okay. I sort of get it.
You getting
sort
it?
of.
Hey, Mikey, I think he likes
I'm
it.
waiting for the event known as Weekend of Biden's. He's not dead. He's just really sleepy. Yep.
I
think
you
Freedom
can see
Tunes
that.
did do
that.
a
Because
section like that.
Like he wears those like aviator glasses everywhere he goes, always be around and all that. I'm like, I think we're actually in like, a full on like Weekend at Bernie's, like, like situation right now. Okay, quick question. Like this is the last question I'll leave everyone on. Does anybody actually believe that Biden's in charge right now? That Biden's actually the guy calling the shots in the White House? Like, I'm actually curious if anybody actually believes that is a thing. Like, some people have suggested, like, that Barack Obama is literally the guy, like, the guy in the chair, basically calling all the shots. Like, yeah, but I'm curious if anybody actually believes he is. Yeah. I mean, like, I don't think he can even drink a cup of orange juice without, like, hurting him. Yeah. Yeah, Patriot Concierge. Biden is basically this is the easiest way to summarize in a very simple way. Biden is defined by one word: it's sellout. That's it. He's basically a politician for hire. That has been his entire career. Whatever benefits him, he'll do it. Who's ever butt he has to kiss, whoever he has to do favors for, he'll do it. He basically sold out his entire career, which is why he's successful. Because he'll do the bidding of everyone who wants him to do something. That's why he's successful. Not because he's a good politician. He's not. Not even a good public. So yeah, that's what Biden does.
Yeah. Oh, it is. It's cruel. It is cruel at this stage. It's just like watching. What was that guy's name? Fetterman. That was cruel. Like watching him campaign and watching him. Like, I think he is like showing decent signs of recovering.
He is getting
but
better.
The first few months of after he got put into the Senate, I was just
painful.
Like, oh
Super
my
painful.
gosh, dude! Like, you need, and like he admitted himself into hospital for depression. Like, that guy was in a rough position. So he's been yelling for the House N-word to fluff his pillows. Woohoo!
What is it?
Yikes! Biden did get some pretty interesting speeches back in the day. He was still a terrible racist, but he did have some interesting speeches.
Yeah, he's how do you call it? Yeah, in order to be a good politician in the Democratic Party, you have to be a very good con artist, and that's something like that. That's why. Like, people ask me, like, do you think Trudeau is a good politician? I'm like, yeah, he's a very good liar.
Has to be.
He's an extremely good pathological liar. He's a con artist, which is why he's successful. But that's also what makes him so evil. Because the guy will never take responsibility for anything. And he's always calculating, how can I trick people into doing what I want? That's basically Trudeau, and that's basically Biden in a nutshell. Yeah, narcissistic. Yeah, definitely. Yep, these people are all evil. But thankfully, there seems to be some signs that Canada might kind of veer back away from the crazy train in 2025, and there seems to be signs that America might be on the cusp of at least like taking their finger off the nuclear button sometime soon. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Yep. All right, Steven, you're all done?
Yep.
Finish it up, buddy. You got this.
Okay, so that's the show. Goodbye.
That's the show.
You're all the weakest links. You're all
That's
dead.
why they call him Salty Steve.
Yes. No. All right, so that's where we're going to end today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. All of the engagements in the chat have kept things lively for the past 2.5 hours, and of course, I'm going to be dead at work tomorrow. but that's the way things are. It has been emotional.
He's so happy.
So cry laughing. It was like when the Leafs went to the second round. Cry laughing. But if you want to check out our other content, including the interesting review we did of the GTA 6 trailer, you can check us out at YouTube, BitChute, and Rumble. I'm trying to make at least one clip per episode. So keep me to that. Because we can't just have the big log episodes. So, and you can also check us out at our text platforms at theshrewddudes.com on Gitter, Twitter, and Facebook.
You sure can.
All right, Danny, sign us out.
Hi. Signed off. Hi, my name's Danny. I'm also senior. I'm also known as Senior Sweet. That's Steven onto my right. He's also known as Steve. And we are the Shrewd Dudes. And we like to always remind you, why be rude when you can be shrewd instead, like we showed tonight. So, again, we always, on Tuesdays, we do our live stream at usually about between 8 and 8:30 on Mountain Time. And on Thursday, same time, but just but we do a different show.
Yeah.
Tuesday's mostly news.
Yeah, it's mostly just like news story to news story to news story.
Yeah.
Thursday is,
And
of course,
Thursday
more
segments,
about different segments, and it's usually focused on more. It's more the kind of headline news, and then we have a couple small stories thrown in there. So we encourage you to join us. And of course, we are leading up to Christmas in a few weeks. Let's just quickly check the calendar, because of course we will not be doing the open mic at the end of the month this month.
That's definitely not going to happen.
So, because I'm going to be away between Christmas and New Year's.
I'll be away as well.
21st of December is probably what makes most sense for the open mic. So we will be having...
I might be leaving that night.
Oh, you might be leaving that night? Oh, okay. Well...
we'll talk about it later.
Yes, we'll talk about it later. Maybe we might even have like an open mic week.
Maybe.
Where we'll do like maybe the 14th and the 19th and have the 19th be like the year-end wrap-up show.
Yeah, something like that. That'll be good.
So, all right.
We'll make it work, Steve.
Yeah, we'll make it work. We'll figure it out. But we'll see you all next time. And, as always, God bless.